Vice chairman and acting chairman.
Thinking about any prize.
You and I have to talk.
They can work there.
Yeah, no, it is. And that, so we got.
And then, after the.
Yeah. Well, vacation. I have. That's the one I. And I don't have the original, but that was my deal with him. He hold it into. Yeah, he's just, he seems like a nice guy. He's still. And then recently. Some banker convinced her she should be hired.
Well, she doesn't write to the alien.
Besides that. She said. We're not buying any permits. Theoretical, right? It's a. Well, reversionary right that's never going to happen.
In 25. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's what it was, it was $2 on the free. First one there.
Seen that movie?
You must have been. Both sides.
Yeah. The bank lease that they had to get permission to go down. Shutting up. Well, they shut it.
Your kids. That's what you're going to have.
Yeah, well, Mercy is on it and. Burnett was, I don't know if they've replaced him. Well, Walter Senior was on it. I don't think Junior was. Thinking what other, Honey was on it, but he's. So I don't know what.
And over here, they're going, yeah. You're gonna, yeah. Oh, yeah, no. Where are you going here? Yeah. Hopefully not. Mistake.
That's. Yeah, I would say so. It's just all. Yeah.
I've been there a while. Yeah, right. Here.
And
Thank you.
just ain't good. I can't believe it.
Morning. Morning, everyone. I would like to call this meeting to order at 10:06. Before we get into the full meeting agenda for the February 19, 2026 Chicago Plan Commission meeting, I want to quickly provide guidance to those who want to provide testimony on the cases presented for public hearing today. A few of you may have already submitted forms electronically, but for anyone else who may wish to testify before the Plan Commission, please fill out a sheet located on the table when you enter the room. Please include your full name, address, if you're for or against the proposal, and if you're here representing yourself or an organization. Please hand your proposal or speak to one of the staff members. People who have completed forms will be called on after each item is presented. Thank you. Out of respect for other speakers, please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Please line up at the microphone, actually by the table. Into my left, in the order that I call your name, and please do not repeat comments that have already been made by other speakers. The public comment portion of the meeting is not a question and answer session of the staff or the applicant, but an opportunity for attendees to voice their opinions on a particular proposal. Out of respect for others, please do not interrupt or disrupt speakers. Any individual who disrupts the presentation or any subsequent comment session may be asked to leave the room, or if necessary, may be escorted out by security. We will now call the roll. Commissioner Barclay. Here. Commissioner Boatright. Down. Commissioner Brumfield.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Castañeda. Not here. Commissioner Dowell. Not here. Commissioner Flores. Here. Commissioner Johnson. Not here. Commissioner Cavacchia. Not here. Commissioner La Espada.
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Lyons. Here. Thank you. Commissioner Murphy. Not here. Commissioner Piñeiro.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Ramirez Rosa. Here. Commissioner Reyes. Here. Thank you. Commissioner Cicho Lopez. Not here. Commissioner Rosado. Here. Commissioner Tillman. Here. Commissioner Turner. Not here. Commissioner Villegas. Not here yet. Okay, we do have 6 people, so we have quorum. We will now approve the minutes from January 15, 2026, regularly scheduled plan commission meeting. The minutes were distributed prior to today's hearing. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the regularly scheduled meeting of the Chicago Plan Commission held on January 15, 2026?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Reyes. Do I have a second? Second. Thank you, Commissioner Lyons. Roll call vote. Commissioner Brumfield? Abstained. We need number.
Yes.
Yes, okay, thank you. Commissioner Flores? Yes. Commissioner La Espada?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Lyons? Yes. Thank you. Commissioner Pinheiro?
Yes.
Thank you. And Commissioner Reyes, can you confirm? Yes. Thank you. Motion passes. Reminder, we will take public comments for the items on the agenda after each item has been presented. If you have not already done so, and you wish to speak on an item, please complete the testimony slip available at the table. To my left, staff members are available to assist if needed and will collect the forms from you. Now, we will move on to the public hearing presentation portion for matters submitted in accordance to the Lake Michigan and Chicago Lakefront Protection Ordinance or the Chicago zoning ordinance. And let the record reflect that Commissioner Murphy and Commissioner Boatright are in attendance now. Okay, the first item is listed as D1, a proposed residential business plan development submitted by PLG Development for the property generally located at 3611 through 3625 North Halsted Street. The applicant requests a rezoning of the subject property from C1-2 to C1-5 to construct a new 12-story mixed-use building with ground floor commercial space and 77 off-street parking stalls. The maximum number of dwelling units will be 188, and the project will have a maximum FAR of 5.0. This is item 22943, and it's in the 46th floor. James Winter will provide the content overview and present the proposed plan.
Thank you. Good morning. For the record, my name is James Winter with the Department of Planning and Development. The applicant David Gaskin of DLG Development has submitted an application for a proposed residential business plan development at the property generally located at 3611 through 25 North Halsted Street to rezone the subject property from C1-2 Neighborhood Commercial District to C1-5 Neighborhood Commercial District to construct a 12-story mixed-use building with 188 dwelling units, 77 car parking spaces, and 909 square feet of ground floor space. The R will be fine. Subject site is located in the Lakeview community area. Existing land uses in the neighborhood include multifamily and single-family residential, business and commercial, and educational. Property is located on the east side of North Halsted Street, being located within approximately a half block CTA's number 8 Halsted and number 152 Addison bus line stops at Halsted Street and West Addison Street. 750 feet of number 36 Broadway bus line stop on North Broadway Avenue, and approximately 1,350 feet the CTA Red Line stop at Addison Street. The site is located in the 46th Ward, and Jesse Orr of Alderwoman Angela Clay's office is here to voice her support for the project. The site is bounded by North Halsted Street on the west and a diagonal alley to the east, with the existing multi-story buildings to the north and south. The site is currently zoned C1-2, with other nearby properties zoned primarily as B and C commercial districts and multifamily residential districts. The stretch of North Halsted Street for the site is designated pedestrian street. Here are views of the site, currently an empty lot from North Halsted Street. And a view of the site from within the site boundaries. Here's an aerial view of the area from the southwest with the proposed 137-foot building shown in relation to the heights of the other buildings in the vicinity. Here's a perspective view of the building looking east across North Halsted Street. Another pedestrian context view showing the south and west elevations of the building. And a rendering showing the landscape ground floor exterior space in the vacated alley and the landscape terraces for the floor units. The applicable city planning documents for the area are the design excellence guiding principles, the ground floor commercial guidelines, and the neighborhood design guidelines of 2022. Now I will turn the presentation over to Mark Peters of Studio Dwell, the applicant's architect, who will further explain the details of the proposal.
Good morning. My name is Mark Peters, principal at Studio Dwell Architects, and we are the architects for the project. Here's the project timeline. So back in October of 2024, project was introduced to the Alderman. In December of 24, we had a East Lakeview Community Group meeting. And then in May of 2025, we did our first intake meeting of the planning department. We received comments in July of 2025, and then we returned responses in September of 2025. In October of 2025, we had a large community group meeting. And if we get approval, the goal for completion is to get building permits right away and to look to start in the fall of 2026. So part of the community outreach between the Alderman's office, community groups, and the planning department were these are some of the changes that occurred during this time. Looking to the right, the two elevations, one of the first things that we looked to do was to align the base of the building, the neighboring building next door, and a lot of the buildings that are on Halsted Street. So wanted to align this base to be in proportion with the street. The second thing was the original entry was shifted over to the side, so we aligned it to be more in line with the tower up above. And then as a result of that, there was some changes in the plan. So we originally had the fitness center on the first floor plan. And what we did then is took the fitness, we put it to the 12th floor amenities level. And then we introduced a commercial space in there that's about 900 square feet. And then the last thing that was from the Alderman's office was the park that we're introducing here. They were looking to have access through the park for the public because that was a access through there before. So this is site ground floor plan. Just talking about the site. So the building faces Halsted Street, that's the front of the building. We have an alley in the back, and then we have an alley on the side, south side. So that alley will be vacated. So the curb cut on Halsted will be filled in and provide 1 or 2 more parking spaces. For the first 45 feet, it will be a public park area, and behind that will be a dog run. And then the remainder of that vacated alley will remain open for access to the existing buildings there, move in, trash, those kinds of things. The entries for the parking garage are off the alley in the rear, as is the loading berth for the residential units. In terms of the plan itself, the primary uses are the commercial in the southwest corner, the lobby as you enter, and the remainder is mechanical rooms, and then we've got a parking garage that is actually sunk down 3.5 feet. We have 34 cars on that. And then in the upper right hand, we have a bike room that holds 188 bikes. The second floor is all parking, and that's access from the ramp to the north, and that will have 45 parking spaces. And then this level is the first residential level. So the tower element is actually set back 10'8" from the front setback, 17'11" the north, and then 12'1" from the south. This level is surrounded by a roof garden that goes all the way around. And there's 21 units on this level, and they range from studios, 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms. All the units on this level have access to the roof deck. And floors 4 through 10 are all identical. They're the same as the third floor, so 21 units each. And then it's a mix of studio 1 and 2s, and all the 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms will have private recessed terraces. The 11th floor is 20 units, so the difference there is we just replaced 3 studios with 2 one-bedrooms. Then the 12th floor is the amenities level. So up there, we're gonna have an indoor lounge, we'll have toilet rooms, we'll have a kitchenette. The fitness room is located up there, mechanical rooms and maintenance areas. And then on the outside, we're gonna have a open lounge deck and then individual grilling stations. And then that too will be a garden, a planted garden, a landscape level that goes all the way around. And we're gonna provide a path, a walking path and a running path that go around the building. From plan. So on the elevations, so to your right is the west elevation, the Halsted, and then to your left is east elevation on Alley. So one of the things we were looking at is we kind of took a look at all of the details and textures and materials that were in the neighborhood. So we tried to apply some of these things. So a lot of the details and a lot of the gestures here are what can be found in the neighborhood. So majority of the building is a brick with stone details. At the base level, the entry is this recessed stepping back arched opening, which find references in the neighborhood. You have the retail glass to the right, and then off to the left there is more glass, but that's where the parking levels are. So what we're providing there are product windows that we can do displays in there. And then looking to the tower portion itself, looking at the vertical pilasters and a lot of elements in the neighborhood to help kind of break down the vertical aspect. We group the tower into 3 sections of 3 groups of 3 unit floors with 2 wider bands, and so it kind of helps break down the vertical aspect of the tower. And then this is the south elevation. On the lower, you can see where the retail is, how the glass turns around and faces the park. The same kind of details follow through on this side. And you can begin to see where the recessed balconies are. The north elevation is the same as the south elevation. The only difference is that there's less balconies. 3 rather, because those are studio units. In the building section, so you can see where the parking is recessed down, so we're able to meet that base height by recessing the first floor down 3.5 feet of the parking. The lobby, commercial, those main levels are all on grade. And as the tower goes up, see the residential levels, you can see the green spaces on either side, and you can see the amenities levels up top of the space. This is another section going a long way. This will begin to show you the ramps. So the cut here is showing the first ramp going down to the first floor of parking, and then in the back dotted is the ramp going up to the second level. Traffic, transportation, traffic and parking. So looking at the legend, we have wayfindings for pedestrians, loading, vehicular. So the main, in red, the main primary entrance is off Halsted for the building, and the commercial is off to the south corner there. In the rear will be the parking. We'll have 2 entries. One will go up, one will go down. You have the residential loading back there. In terms of the bike, we have a couple accesses. We have 1 rear entry off the alley. They can go in there. Or there's an entrance off the side that's near the dog park, and that'll be for bikes and also access to the dog park. And then you can see that there's access through that park and then through past the dog park and through the vacated alley for the community pass through. Traffic studies. So we did a traffic study, and just some of the key points is that it was found that it has a good access to public transportation, bike facilities, pedestrian access. The existing alley will be vacated and provide 2 additional parking spaces. The study said there won't be any vehicular delays to the streets and we'll change, do it minimally for the proposed development. And the existing roadways should operate with minimal delays. Traffic management plan. Some of the key proposed measures there for car sharing services. Charging for parking, so the tenants will be charged for parking spaces. We'll do real-time traffic information in the lobby. And we'll have a bike storage and repair room back there. And then we'll provide bike sharing. And then we did a wind study for the project. Some of the key finds were the building massing and design will help moderate the impacts of the wind. The wind conditions at grade level are expected to meet the wind safety criteria. Urban design, so we were looking to create a public park and a ground floor retail, so wanted to kind of meet this the community with bringing the retail right to the front. The materials, the massing are consistent with the neighborhood and the surrounding context. And the design reinforces the continuous street wall sidewalks. Open space and planning. So on the first floor, again, we have the park in the alley, vacated alley there. We are adding a tree where we are enclosing the curb cut. We have the roof garden on the third floor, and we have the roof garden on the 12th floor. And then again, in terms of building materials, again, kind of look to the neighborhood or what kind of bricks and colors we could find. So the whole majority of the building is in masonry, and a lot of the brick accents or limestone accents are found within the neighborhood, including we have a stone base at the base of the building, which you can find in the neighborhood. And for our sustainable development policy, we are looking to do exceeding the current energy transformation code by 10%. Building electrification, we're doing the maximum 40% glass. And in terms of landscape and green infrastructure, we're doing the green roof coverage and native landscapes. And then all of the AR units will be located on site. In terms of bird-friendly design strategies, so looking at zone 1, in terms of the material threat factor, we have 30.4% glazing and 69.6% opaque or solid brick. And the zone 2 up above is pretty close to those numbers. We originally had glass railings. Those were switched over to picket railings. In the corner there is, we have no transparent corner fly-through. So originally those were more glass, and we had actually spandrel glass in between the windows. And so those were taken out, replaced with brick masonry. The building is geothermal. So geothermal reduces local CO emissions by 95%, which is healthier for birds and everyone. And then finally, we are looking to do all the lighting fixtures with to be dark skies compliant. And then stormwater management. So we're looking to do a combination of volume control within the roof gardens, and then there'll be a storage facility, storage tank underneath the ground, probably underneath the ramp. In terms of affordable, 188 units, so we're doing 38 affordable units. That's 20%. And they are a mix of studio 1 and 2 bedrooms, and they're mixed from floors 3 through 11. And then in terms of the AMI, so we're meeting the average of 60% AMI. We're ranging from 40% to 80%. And we list where the units are, the types, the maximum rents, and income limits. And then in terms of economic community benefits, The project cost will be $70 million. It will create 150 to 200 temporary jobs during construction, 10 to 15 permanent jobs, with the commercial space and maintenance. All the ARO units will be on site. And the developer will work with the 46th Ward, mayoral executive order of qualified MBE, WMBE, and participation from Chicago residents.
Thank you. Once again, for the record, I'm James Quinner with DPD. The Department of Planning and Development has reviewed the materials submitted by the applicant and has concluded that the proposal would be appropriate for the following reasons. Proposed development is in compliance with the plan development standards and guidelines. Proposal promotes economically beneficial development patterns that are compatible with the character of the existing neighborhood. Proposal is designed to reinforce desirable urban features found within the surrounding area. Proposal ensures a level of amenities appropriate to the nature and scale of the project. And the project promotes safe and efficient circulation of pedestrians, cyclists, and motor vehicles. Please refer to my staff report for further details on this project and the plans identified here today. Based on the foregoing, the zoning administrator recommends that the application for the establishment of the plan development and zoning map amendment be approved and forwarded to the City Council Committee on Zoning Landmarks and Building Standards as such. Thank you.
Thank you, James. We do have a group of speakers signed up to speak on this item. I'll start with the first three speakers. The first one is Chui Wen, who's for the proposal, followed by Brandon Willis, who's also for the proposal. And then we have Kathleen Gillespie, who's against the proposal. If you could stand by the table or where it's there.
Where we're at, stand and speak the room is hot, so you can speak the word.
Perfect, thank you.
Good morning, my name is Chu Yiwen. I strongly support the 3611 North Halsted development and urge you all to vote to approve it. I live a short walk away from the proposed development site and would wholeheartedly welcome its addition to the neighborhood. The city of Chicago, this neighborhood in particular, are in desperate need of more housing. In fact, our governor just this week highlighted the fact that our state is short over 100,000 homes. And if we continue building at our current rate, we will be short over 200,000 homes by the end of the decade. Nearly all of the shortage is here in Chicago, and it's causing home and rent prices to spiral out of control. I've known many friends and neighbors forced to leave not just the neighborhood, but the city altogether because of this problem. I would also urge you to look closely at who is opposing this development. Nearly all of them live in a single building, the other tall building nearby on the south face of that building nonetheless. While their sight lines may ultimately be impacted by this project, I'd remind you, we live in a city, not a resort town in the mountains with majestic snow-capped views. Don't let the narrow concerns of a tiny few outweigh the pressing concerns of the rest of the neighborhood and city. Vote yes, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Wen. Next, we have Brandon Willis.
Morning, planning commission. I'm Brandon Willis, homeowner in the 46th Ward, right around a block or so from this development. I'm here today to express my support for this. As a homeowner, I am particularly excited for this for many reasons. One reason is an empty parking lot is a bit of a blight in my neighborhood. I walk past this lot 4 or 5 times a day, maybe more, from getting a Diet Coke from Circle K across the street. Additionally, you know, from a property tax perspective, more development spreads the cost of living in this beautiful city across more units. And that's really exciting for me as someone who pays property taxes and is happy to do that, but doesn't like things to show up. You know, this neighborhood is a key area when it comes to transit accessibility, whether it's the number 8 bus, or whether it's the Addison bus or the Red Line. With recent investments in the Red Line, I think it's wise for the city to be investing more into this neighborhood. And for us to have a vacant lot in an area that's probably one of the most transit accessible neighborhoods in the city is we need to have something there, and housing is a good opportunity for For me, I'm very excited to see that there's a low portion of parking units, parking slots in this development. This neighborhood is extremely walkable, bikeable, transit accessible, and having floor level retail on the ground floor is really exciting to me as well. Because of that, I want to support any changes to increasing number of parking spots or request to lower the number of units in the building, because it's exciting to see more opportunity for more residents to live in this neighborhood, to bring more business to the community, and the important businesses we have on both Broadway, Halsted, and Addison. So as a concerned neighbor, I'm really excited to see that. I want this to be addressed. I support this development. Let's keep Lakeview East and Woodstown flourishing.
Thank you, Mr. Willis. Next, we have Kathleen Gillespie.
Good morning. Good morning, Chair Flores and Commissioners. My name is Kathleen Gillespie. I'm representing Bird Friendly Chicago, an organization for the 20,000 supporters. I'm a volunteer with Chicago Bird Collision Monitors, an organization that protects birds as they migrate along the Mississippi Flyway, including through Chicago. For the past decade, I've rescued birds injured when they collide with glass windows and buildings, and I catalog birds that perish during their journey. I oppose the plan at 3611 North Halsted for the same reasons I volunteered. I care about wildlife, I care about people, and I care about Chicago. First, I'd like to thank David Gassman and DLG Development and Mark Peters of Studio Dwell for their decision to use steel picket balcony railings. As he noted, glass railings would have been really deadly for birds. I also appreciated in your use of non-translucent corners, as well as exterior dark sky compliant light fixtures. And the buildings, it looks beautiful with its brick design, and so much brick instead of all glass is a big plus for migrating birds. But I ask that you commit to bird-friendly design strategies on the Department of Planning and Development's sustainability checklist and use bird-friendly glass for this project. As you know, Chicago is known for its beautiful architecture, but it has an ugly reputation. Many of its buildings are the biggest killers of migrating birds in North America. And this project is located just a few blocks from the lake on a major migratory pathway close to the Jarvis Bird Sanctuary. Untreated glass windows in this area are deadly for birds. Just this week, as bird collision monitors, we've already picked up a number of birds, including American woodcocks who crashed into those in the city. And this is just the beginning. Thousands upon thousands of birds will die here when they collide with our buildings between now and the end of May during spring migration. We don't need another building that will add to this tragic loss of bird life. Our group has seen developers presenting for this commission who are truly committed to sustainability, and they earn more than 100 points on the sustainability checklist. Some are presenting here today, and we applaud them. And we believe this project should follow suit. Commissioner Flores and Commissioners, this is the best time to make a bird-friendly building. Use bird-friendly glass. It's much cheaper and more effective than retrofitting a building later. Please ask this developer to use bird-friendly glass. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Next, we have Christine Esposito, followed by Mr. Butler Adams, and then Stephen Vance. Ms. Christine?
Good morning. My name is Christine Esposito. I'm representing Bird Friendly Chicago as well, an organization with more than 20,000 supporters. I am a former environmental communicator, having worked on behalf of a variety of green businesses, nonprofits, and government agencies, and a host of conservation and environment-related issues, including preserving and restoring bird habitats. I'm here to oppose the plan at 3611 North Halsted, also known as the Phoenix. To David Gassman at DLG Development and to Mark Peters at Studio Dwell, as my colleague Kathleen Gillespie has highlighted, there are several elements of this building that Bird Friendly Chicago appreciates and values. However, we urge you to also commit to the bird friendly design strategies on the DPD sustainability checklist and use bird friendly glass for this project. Your building will be located on a major migratory route, meaning any untreated glass will be a deadly hazard for birds. If preventing these needless deaths isn't motivation enough, Consider the residents and passersby who will be affected by the carnage. No one wants to see and or hear a bird slam into a window and fall lifelessly to the ground. Imagine your future residents stepping over dead and dying birds, many of them tiny jewel-tongued wonders, as they enter and leave the building. It's not good. One of your stated goals is to enhance and beautify the district. Dead birds around your building result in the exact opposite. This project is named the Phoenix. It represents a firebird, a symbol of renewal and immortality. But the birds that die here will not be rising from the ashes like the mythical creature. Instead, after flying thousands of miles, they'll be added to the ever-growing list of birds that have perished by flying headlong into windows in our city. Commissioners, please ask this developer to gain extra credit on the sustainability checklist, as others are doing here today, and modify this design to make it safe for birds for generations to come. Thank you for listening and for your consideration.
Thank you. Next, we have Mr. Butler Adams.
Yes, my name is Butler Adams. I am in favor of this proposal. I had an opportunity to go to the community meeting back in October in that area. I don't live in Lakeview, but I'm very, very familiar with the area, and I do like the architecture of this building. And I said at the meeting back in October, it kind of reminds me of an old school Chicago warehouse building from the 1920s, just with more glass, and this building is residential. This area is in need of more residential. It is only a few blocks away from the train station, so I think this is a great opportunity to build something of this scale on this vacant piece of land right now. I also looked at some of the comments that were posted about this building online regarding this proposal. And a lot of the negativity came from the building right next door, the Dakota, and that was the same building complaining 25 years ago when it was first built about a nightclub right next door. It had been there a very, very long time regarding noise. And the name of that article is The Nightclub Next Door. This is from the Chicago Reader. The date on this is August 2004. So those people have been complaining about density and tall buildings in that area for about 25 years. And I'm looking at the aerial view of this project right now. It's not out of scale with the area at all. There's a building that's 100 feet taller, just 2 blocks to the north. So I'm hoping this project is approved. And I'm not a spiteful person at all, but I know that Jesse's in the room right now for Alderwoman Clay. There's a gas station just diagonally across the street to the southwest. I would love to see something of 20 stories on that site, just because. Just irritated. So I am in favor of this project, and I look forward to it being approved and built. I know at the time it seemed like the Alderwoman was in favor of this project, and I think she still is. So I look forward to it moving forward.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Next, we have Stephen Vance, who's for the proposal.
My name is Stephen Vance. I'm one of the leads for Abundant Housing Illinois, an all-volunteer member organization with really 500 members that advocates for increased housing opportunities in the state of Illinois, and especially in Chicago, where the bulk of our membership is. This project, 3611 North Halsted, creates desperately needed housing, including subsidized affordable housing on site. And Chicago is in the midst of a housing shortage, which is evident by our constantly rising rents 3 years in a row, top in the nation, which is attractive to developers, but it's also that we're not developing fast enough, which is a point the governor made yesterday, but it's a statewide issue as well. This project will replace a vacant lot. Thank you to Brandon for making that point very clear, as it's something that he walked past 45 times a day. And then 188 new homes, so that means over 188 new people on the block. And then it will also eliminate a curb cut on Halsted, so that's great. It improves pedestrian safety. And then having geothermal is also a nice touch. It uses the Earth's warmth to lower energy usage. So we ask for your support for this proposal. And thank you for your commitment to building a more inclusive city.
Thank you, Mr. Vance. I'll open it up to the commissioners. Do you have any questions of the staff or the applicant on this item?
I have one minor question. The alley that's been vacated, how will that be secured, or will that be secured coming from the existing alley? And maybe if that was talked about, I missed that in the presentation, but didn't know if that would be secured or if that would be open.
So, currently there's an alley and people can walk through. And one of the things that was said in the neighborhood meetings is you know, it wouldn't be fair to close that off. So in our discussions with the planning department, we've agreed to have a gate on either side of the green space and which will be open all hours except basically from 11 o'clock at night till 6 in the morning. And so the green space will be open to the public. It'll be basically a public park. But to avoid, you know, having people stay there overnight, it'll be locked in.
And coming off the existing alley?
Yeah, it'll go from the sidewalk through the alley.
Yeah, that's right.
And so someone can walk straight from the sidewalk through the alley, just as they can now.
Thank you.
Let the record reflect that Commissioner Villegas is in attendance. Any other questions or comments from the commissioners? Yeah, Commissioner.
Yes. I wish we could please like everybody, right? And I love birds. But I truly appreciate the fact that this development is going to have 38 homes for hardworking families. I appreciate that and yeah, I think that is important. But unfortunately, we have to figure out how we can make a balance, but at this point, I am very pleased with this.
Thank you, Commissioner. If I could just add to that, or maybe ask the architect to speak on the choice for not choosing the bird friendly. I think I know as an architect why that was done, but can you elaborate on why that choice was made?
I think that we weren't looking in terms of the sustainability actually option. And instead we were, you know, by design, we were trying to see how far we could get before we had to put the glass on. So I think, you know, we moved to include all of these different aspects and just short of adding the glass on there. And so this would just be a discussion, you know, with the owner. It should be noted that a lot of the windows also will have screens on them. So exterior screens. So a lot of that, you know, we haven't gone through and done a calculation on everything. So I think even, you know, material threat factor will even get lower. And who knows, I mean, we may be able to look at applying B1 or something like that, or A1 rather. So.
For that, any other questions or comments from the commissioners? Yes, Commissioner Lasada.
Thank you so much. Two quick first process questions. I think we just addressed it. If there's a way to move the Zoom screen so that the entire presentation is visible. Fantastic, appreciate it. Number two, we all speak at different volumes. If there's any way to either project more, or if we do have microphones that provide sound amplification, I would find that helpful. On to the project. Lots to really appreciate. Like I really appreciate the design. I think doing the alley vacation is a very smart way to add open space. Honestly, I think there's a lot of projects in Fulton Market that could consider it likewise. I think that's very smart. I think the unit mix is a really good mix here, and I appreciate the commitment to doing 100% affordable on site. I'll say, knowing Alderwoman Clay, I don't think this project would be in front of us if you were doing all 100% on site. I want to echo the bird-friendly design concern for two specific reasons. Number one, we are, I think, within feet of the Lakefront Protection District. Arguably, like if we had like reassessed the Lakefront Protection District, it would extend further than it currently does, and that's a conversation for council to take up. But also, when I look at the landscaping, and it is beautiful landscaping, particularly that second floor landscaping. I think, yeah, I see the heads nodding. We've had this conversation before. It creates a sense of environmental confusion for birds, that this is a place to be landing, flying into. The same thing that creates this beauty also creates that confusion. If there are ways, as we learned last month in Plan Commission, to do UV reflective glass, I think was, if there are ways to enhance what we're looking at before this comes before the zoning committee. And I think based off of yesterday, it may be a while before we have a zoning committee meeting. If there are ways to reassess the extent that we can go with here, even if it's the bird monument level, I would really appreciate that. Thank you for hearing me out on that. Thank you.
So no question, just a request, right?
It is a request.
Okay. Any other comments or questions, from the commissioners?
A couple of things. Would it be possible if there's any, and Mr. Peters, you were talking about how far, you made a statement about how far this could get, with the measures that you made, which are appreciated. I would say we've heard a lot about sustainability measures here, including the bird friendly. And I think this has been a place where we've emphasized on making sure that if that can be tackled in a viable way, and we've seen multiple projects in the past, I think that would be important. So I would suggest if there's any discussions with the department, with DPD or anything like that, and we can hear back to the chair about the ultimate resolution after we vote, that would be highly appreciated. So, and then my question is, and then I move on to the fact that I think it's a great project and a great contribution to the area and the neighborhood and the city, and not to mention the fact that it's a beautiful project. And my concern is around, not a concern, but my question will revolve around the fact I'm looking at the timeline here and I see that it's truncated at the completion of entitlement and so forth. So the point being, once we get it approved and it gets approved, then look, we want to see it built. This is an important project for the neighborhood. And tell us a little bit more about where we are and what's your timing beyond what we have here about entitlement process.
We've been working on the project behind the scenes, and so we're looking at different things. We still got to get the official alley vacated. We've had initial reviews with the FOPE, had some zoning reviews. So a lot of, we already have structural engineers, MEP engineers on board, both of which are MBE firms. So we're already well on our way to moving forward on this project. So
Show us on the ground expectation. I'm not holding you to it, but I'd like to hear where things are.
It was all six.
Okay.
Just
Fast.
All right.
but give us permits faster.
Understood. Thank you. Nothing else. Cheers.
Any other questions or comments from commissioners? If not, I know Jesse from Alderwoman's office is here to make a statement.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jesse Orr. I'm Director of Development for the 46th Ward Office. Alderwoman Clay regrets that she can't be here. She was in Springfield for the governor's budget address and is currently en route back. She's been actively watching it while en route and has been, we've been texting, and she appreciates all the public commenters that spoke. I'm just going to quickly read out our statement into the record. Dear Chairwoman Flores, I'm writing to express my support for this residential plan development proposal at 3611 North Halsted. This development includes 188 residential units, 38 of which will be affordable across 9 residential floors set above 2 floors of parking. This developer is also committed to seeking project-based vouchers from the Chicago Housing Authority to deepen the affordability of the units provided through the ARO. Obviously, we know that can't be guaranteed since it's a CHA decision, but the developer has been very happy to try to deepen the affordability in those units. This will expand the number of not just affordable, but deeply affordable homes in one of Chicago's most transit-served communities. The proposal features numerous green design elements. The building will be all electric and features a significant number of sustainability features, including geothermal heating and cooling, EV-ready parking spaces, and an extensive green roof meant to both beautify the neighborhood and enable 100% on-site stormwater retention. The proposal also includes the removal of a curb cut on Halsted, an alley vacation of the east-west leg of the alley bound by Halsted, Addison, Waveland, and Broadway. The alley exit on Halsted will be replaced by a green space as discussed. Community engagement regarding this proposal included in-person feedback, written feedback through a public survey, and numerous individual conversations with neighborhood and organizational stakeholders, including the local Chamber of Commerce and East Lakeview neighbors. The 46th Ward hosted a community meeting at the center on Halsted right across the street on Tuesday, October 28th, for the development team to present and answer questions about the proposal and provide an opportunity to collect feedback from neighbors. There were also 2 previous community meetings about the proposal, one hosted by East Lakeview neighbors, another hosted by the developer specifically for residents of the neighboring Dakota building, at which both of those meetings our office was present. The majority of the office received was supportive of the project, especially of the building's design, which I think we can all agree is pretty outstanding, and overall density. The development evolved significantly thanks to community feedback, which resulted in the parking podium elimination by shifting the parking 1/2 below grade, ensuring that neighbors to the north would not be facing a brick wall at the lot line. I don't need to kind of go over the other changes made by community since James covered that really well. And the proposal, includes additional affordable units and a community amenity in the form of green space off Halsted. Our office will continue to engage with neighbors, nearby businesses, the development team, the Chicago Department of Transportation to ensure the construction impacts are mitigated. In addition, we're going to be working with CDOT and CTA to improve sightlines at the Addison Alley exit during Wrigley events, because we do know that alley can get tight sometimes. For all these reasons listed, Alderman Clay respectfully requests your support for this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse. Any additional questions for Jesse or the applicant from the commissioners? If not, I'll go ahead and ask for a motion. Do I have a motion on a proposed residential business plan development submitted by PLG Development for the property that are relocated at 3611-25 North Halsted Street, finding that it meets the requirements for approval? Thank you, Commissioner Boatright. Do I have a second? Second by Brumfield. Thank you. Roll call vote. Commissioner Boatright? Yes. Thank you. Commissioner Brumfield?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Flores? Yes. Commissioner Losada?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Lyons?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Murphy?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Pinedo?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Reyes?
Yes.
Thank you. And Commissioner Villegas?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Except for you guys wouldn't stick around.
We have one more.
Yeah, that's correct.
We'll move on to the next item. The next item is listed as V2, a proposed Lake Michigan and Chicago Lakefront Protection Ordinance application submitted by Sarah Circle, an Illinois non-for-profit for the property currently located at 4432 through 4458 North Carolina Avenue. The property is on plan development number 138, sub-area B, and is within the private use zone of the Lake Michigan and Chicago Lakefront Protection District. The applicant is proposing to construct a 54 supportive housing unit for single women, office space for support staff, and community space for residents. This is Lakefront item 801, and it's in the 46th ward, office space. Okay, that's extra. Yeah, that's it. Omar will provide the context overview and present the proposed plan.
Thank you. Good morning, commissioners. For the record, my name is. For the record, my name is Omar Smiley-Bakewich with the Department of Planning and Development. This proposed development is generally located at 4458 North Clarendon Avenue and is located within the uptown community area within the 46th ward. The applicant and their development team appeared here today to request approval of Lakefront Protection Ordinance application number 801. Applicant Sarah Circle proposes to construct a multifamily building containing 54 supportive housing units for single women, office space for support staff, and community space for residents. The proposed project is allowed by its current zoning designation of Plan Development number 138. However, it is located within the private use zone of the Lake Michigan and Chicago Lakefront Protection Ordinance, and therefore must be heard and approved by the Chicago Plan Commission. The subject site is located in the uptown community area, which has a population of approximately 57,300 people and a median income of approximately $52,000. In addition to the site's proximity to the Chicago lakefront and parks, the site is designated as a transit-served location and is served by the CTA red and purple lines, as well as multiple CTA bus routes. The site is located within Plan Development number 138, which also includes the mixed-use high-rise building on the west side of Clarendon Avenue between Montrose Avenue and Agatite Avenue, as well as the one-story retail building on the east corner of Montrose and Clarendon. The site of the proposed building for Sarah Circle is shown with the darker blue color on this slide, while the rest of the sub-area, which is currently undeveloped, is in white with a blue dashed outline. I will now turn the presentation over to the applicant team to discuss the details of their proposal.
Good morning. My name is Steve Friedland with Applegate Thorne Thompson, representing Sarah Circle. I will echo Alderman Laspada. You guys seem a lot further away than you normally are in this room, so we will try to project. Quickly, let me introduce our team. With me is Kathy Ragnar, who's the executive director of Sarah Circle, and from our architects, we have Justin Workman and Chris Hale from Perkins and Will. To give you a quick background on Sarah Circle, they've been before you before. Sarah Circle is a not-for-profit that serves single, unaccompanied women experiencing homelessness. The organization's been active since 1979. It currently serves 700 women annually through a variety of programs, including residential developments. Sarah Circle has 3 other residential buildings very close to here, and you're going to get to see some pictures of them, and hopefully you'll see that there's a theme for how Sarah Circle develops its housing. They've been looking for another location for their next residential development for quite some time. And we came upon this site, which is sub area B. We can go, you want me to take it, or, oh, you'll do it. Sub area B of existing Plan Development 138. It is a currently vacant parcel. The next slide gives you maybe a little better context here. What you see in red is the portion of the block that will be developed with this application. Sarah Circle is the contract purchaser for this site, and the plan, you'll see some other drawings in a second, would be to likely develop up to 3 buildings on the site, with this being the first. Again, it is a 54-unit, 7-story building at the north end of the block. Go to the next slide. This may be the most relevant slide for this hearing. This is a lakefront protection application. We're proposing a 7-story building in between a 27-story building and a 13-story building to the north of us. I'll just go back to that really quickly. The building that's sort of in pink is the building that we're going to be talking about today that we'll present to you. Then we are showing sort of what could be the remaining 2 buildings that would be developed on the site, but we're only talking about that first one. Go ahead. Again, this gives you some context of the height in relationship to other buildings in the area. Slide. So this is a rendering of the site. There's going to be several more in a moment. This design, and I'll let Justin speak to the design, but it sort of follows a theme that Sarah's Circle has adopted. Perkins and Will has been their architect on all of their other projects, and they're trying to sort of create an identity with the housing that they develop. Again, another street view. We can maybe go through these quickly because I think Justin will speak to them more as we go on. I want to talk to process. So Sarah Circle found this site in 2025, went under contract, started working with the planning department on a design. We did request a modification to the plan development to allow for our new site plan and our design, which is granted. We filed our application December of last year. Go to the next slide. We have met with Jesse and with Alder Clay about this project. And there was a community meeting that was held in January at one of Sarah Circle's other buildings. I will say that it was one of the coldest days of the year. And Jesse got out a lot of people. There were lots of people in the room, and it was a real good public meeting. It's a very vibrant community. You know, I don't want to steal his thunder, but I do believe we have Alder Clay's approval for the project. With that, let me turn it over to Justin and he can speak to the development.
Thank you, Steve. Commissioners, very good to be with you today. I quickly want to go over a few of the primary architectural elements that are relevant today. Again, we're in the 46th ward, the building's around 45,000 square feet, 7 floors, 54 units of permanent supportive housing brought to the Uptown neighborhood, and the next in line of development with the Sarah Circle projects. The north side of the building is set back about 10 feet to match the existing context buildings around it. There's a green space on the east side that interfaces with the park across the street. Next slide. You'll see on the first floor plan here, much of the public space on the ground floor, I'm referring to community spaces for the women as well as caseworker offices and building staff, are facing the north and the east, which provides some transparency, and the entry is off Sunnyside Avenue. In the typical floor plan, you'll see that there are 9 units per floor. Each unit are the same design to provide parity for the women that are staying here. And you'll see a few nice features which are light at the end of all of the corridors, as well as light off of the elevator corridor to provide some sense of transparency. The roof is a typical roof for the neighborhood and features a parapet that surrounds the roof that is 3 feet tall. Next slide. And you'll see here in the north elevation, we have a typical material palette of brick, metal, and glass, which are consistent with the previously approved Sarah Circle projects in the neighborhood. And I will say that it's an important element as part of branding that the women are able to go out into the neighborhood, see other buildings by Sarah Circle that share the same branding. So they understand that the circle of protection around them extends beyond the 4 walls of where they are at that moment. It's a very conscious decision to keep that similar. Next slide. You'll see here in the east elevation, we begin to break some of the massing down with some strategic glass reveals so that the massing is more in accordance with the scale of the neighborhood. Slide. Same idea here on the south elevation, but you'll see a lot of that space on the south, on the bottom of this image is transparent space to the community space inside. So they have transparency to that newly created garden. Next slide. And then again, here on the west elevation, very similar in theme and massing. So we're consistent around the building, even on the sides that approach the alley. And you'll see here in section, again, the apartments are stacked above the first floor. There are no ground floor units. And you see a community room and lobby there on the ground floor. Another section, this time north-south, and you'll note that some of the glass on the ground floor is pulled in. This is part of our shading strategy to make sure we provided a few wall sections, and we'll quickly go through to the next slide. And you'll see here, in terms of loading and trash in and out, we do have access to the alleyway, but we've provided a pad on the site that's 15 feet wide to make sure that a truck can turn around. In context with the urban design, I just want to note a few things. Again, that 10-foot setback in the north responds to existing context.
That main entrance is primarily along Sunnyside Avenue because we feel that that is the more residential side of the building. And that the ground level facade has a lot of storefront transparency to better activate that space along there. But again, another site plan, and it's worth noting that there are several street trees that we plan to save in addition to planting additional street trees. And again, I'll note the green space in the center of the site facing the east side. There are a few landscape plans for comment if we'd like to discuss that further. Next slide. One more slide. Thank you. And again, I want to touch on building materials by showing you some imagery of existing Sarah Circle projects. This is the most recently completed one. We call it Sarah's on Lakeside. No, it's worth noting that this is not considered a high rise. We're under 80 feet. And we are pursuing the National Green Building Standard Gold as part of our approach to sustainability to make sure we're meeting the sustainable development policy. And I also want to note that we're including enhanced bird protection for the entire building, meeting that much stricter standard for bird protection. Next slide, please. Again, National Green Building Standard is what we're after. And also worth noting, the building will include a solar-ready rooftop construction and native plantings. I want to drive home again that we exceed the bird collision threat rating in both metrics, 1 and 2. And more than half of the glass in the building has a frit to protect against bird collisions. Slide, you'll see here the north and the east elevations, both illustrating where the materials are, primarily metal panel with punched windows and outlines of brick and transparent glass. Next slide. Same on the south and west elevations.
I'll take it back here. So as far as stormwater management, this first building actually doesn't trigger any requirements for underground storage, but we are assuming we will have a second building coming soon. So when we design this, we'll either incorporate some of that necessary stormwater for the next phase or leave that to phase 2. But we're aware of what's needed when we get to phase 2. For the next slide. The project is 100% affordable. Sarah Circle is going into IDA for tax credits for this project. It's not, there is no AR requirement under the lakefront ordinance, but we do know that again, to be 100% affordable. And as far as economic and community benefits, we think this provides some real benefit to the area. Obviously, this has been a vacant parcel within the PD for a long period of time. Will produce 54 units of supportive housing, which is some significant need in the city. There will be job creation, and Sarah Circle is committed to the city's participation goals for MB and WB. So with that, pass it back to Omar.
The Department of, again, Omar Smilovegovich for the record, the Department of Planning and Development has reviewed the materials submitted by the applicant and has concluded that the proposed project would be in compliance with the applicable policies of the Lakefront Plan of Chicago and the purposes of the Lake Michigan and Chicago Lakefront Protection Ordinance. In particular, this project meets policy number 8, that the proposal will increase personal safety by improving and revitalizing a vacant property and maintaining the residential character of the property consistent with the surrounding neighborhood. Policy number 14, the proposal is consistent with the pattern of existing development. And purpose number 4, the project supports that the life patterns of migratory birds are supported by designing the building to achieve the standards for bird protection as established by the Chicago Sustainable Development Policy. Please refer to my staff report for further details regarding this project and the plans identified here today. Based on the foregoing, it is the recommendation of the zoning administrator of the Department of Planning and Development that the Chicago Plan Commission approve Lake Michigan and Chicago Lakefront Protection Ordinance application number 801 as being in conformance with the provisions of the Lake Michigan and Chicago Lakefront Protection Ordinance.
Thank you, Omar. We do have 4 speakers signed up to speak on this item. The first one, Hussein Taher, who's for the proposal, followed by Allison Hill, who's for the proposal, Mr. Butler Adams, who's for the proposal, and Ms. Kathleen Gillespie, who's also for the proposal. Hussein.
Good morning. My name is Hussein Taher, and I'm a resident
I was speaking in favor of the Sarah Circle development. This development is a critical step to fixing the city's housing shortage and also providing housing for vulnerable population. I love Chicago, I'm a frequent out myself, and I'm glad to hear of other housing advocates to make sure we allow for more affordable and housing for the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Allison Berryhill.
Good morning, commissioners. My name is Allison Bearhill, and I'm here to speak on behalf of the Neighbors of Edgewater Downtown. So a grassroots organization representing residents invested in the future of our communities in downtown Edgewater. I'm here to speak in favor of the development at 4432, 4458 Clarendon Avenue. Sarah Circle is a wonderful organization. We love them very much. They provide a lot of housing to our neighbors in the area. Chicago in recent years has seen a significant increase in rent prices, home prices, property taxes, and has driven a lot more of our neighbors to become homeless and need the types of services that are offered by Sarah Circle. We need these types of housing projects in our city, and we applaud Sarah Circle for recognizing that need and continuing to expand their operations of this happen in Uptown. This building is also a wonderful design that allows women that Sarah Circle helps to experience more of the wonderful nature that so defines our part of the lakefront, including the newly renovated Clarendon Park directly across the street, Clarendon Park Community Center that is, and the wonderful Clarendon Park that it is surrounded by. With all that said, we ask we ask the commissioners to please support this development.
Thank you. Mr. Butler Adams.
Yes, for the record, my name is Butler Adams. I am in favor of this proposal. I did not get a chance to attend the community meetings, and one of the reasons I'm in favor of this proposal is because the population that it will help and the services that it will provide. From an architectural standpoint, I'm not in love with the design at all. To me, it comes off as somewhat bunker-like. But setting that aside, again, the services that the organization provides outweighs the design to me in this aspect. And I will say that if there is a future phase 2 and phase 3, personally, just from a visual standpoint, it would be nice to have those 2 phases combined to allow for perhaps some private green space for Sarah Circle on that parcel of land, but that's just me thinking forward. But in terms of this current project in front of me, because of the services it provides, I'm in favor of it.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. It's Captain Gillespie.
Thank you, Chair Flores. Good morning again. My name is Kathleen Gillespie. On behalf of Bird Friendly Chicago and as a longtime Chicagoland area resident, I want to thank Sarah Circle for its amazing efforts towards serving its clients and toward making our city safer for migratory birds. Learning that Sarah Circle's project on Clarendon will implement bird-friendly design in its construction gives our organization and all beloved birds tremendous confidence that we're moving in the right direction. Neighbors and future residents of Sarah Circle's Clarendon project, workers, visitors, and all current residents will benefit from your inspiring commitment to preventing the unnecessary loss of life of birds. Our city's position on the Mississippi Flyway, a path that birds have used to travel for hundreds of years, makes Chicago unique and one of the most critical urban areas for bird migration in all of North America. Taking steps to reduce bird mortality from glass window collisions in buildings is an important and tangible way to help reverse the catastrophic loss of life in migratory bird populations. You at Sarah Circle are doing cutting edge work. Bravo. Please accept our thanks for this cutting edge project, supporting your clients and supporting wildlife, including birds. Thank you.
Thank you. Do the commissioners have any questions of the staff or the applicant on this item? Commissioner Lyons?
Thank you so much for the presentation, and for the project, to the community, for your advocacy, for this. I was just curious if you could speak for folks that might not know a little bit about the support services that are part of the project, and just anything that you think that the community should know about Sarah Circles and the services provided, for clients.
So thank you for that question. Sarah Circle, we've been around for just shy of 50 years, and our mission stays the same: to serve women who are currently homeless or at risk of homelessness. So our organization has basically 3 units. We provide a range of immediate services, and that includes the largest shelter for women in the city, a daytime program, and rapid rehousing. We also have permanent supportive housing. We have both permanent supportive housing in our buildings as well as over a couple hundred units throughout the city. And as we're here today, we are a housing developer. And our range of services are very comprehensive. We provide in immediate services, not only physical safety, food, shelter, showers, access to computers, laundry. In our housing program, we are staffed 24/7 with case management staff, program staff, and clinical services staff. And the purpose of the interim housing is for a woman to stay with us as long as she needs to while we place her in permanent housing. And for the women in our permanent housing, it is permanent. We are serving the most vulnerable population of women in the city of Chicago, and we have an incredible retention rate. When a woman is in our apartment, over 98%, our retention rate is over 98%. And many of the women will be with us until they have more physical needs or they pass away. And we are serving women that come to us, well over half have 0 income. Many women are coming right from either the shelter system or from under a viaduct, or from parks. And that's why our units are completely furnished. Not only all of the furniture, but all the amenities, linens, cutlery, food, everything. So a woman can come into our apartment and just with their clothes. And our goal is to end Owens homelessness permanently. And that's where we are committed to continue building because we need housing.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the commissioners? Commissioner
Just a
Rodriguez?
question following what you were describing, what is the ethnicity of the women that you serve?
We serve approximately 60% are women of African Americans. Then the remainder, about 80% are women of color, and then approximately, and these vary. That's pretty much standard, the ethnicity, but it is fluctuating. It is an aging population. So the average woman in our permanent supportive housing is over 55.
Thank you. Commissioner Cicho Lopez?
Yeah.
Had a question?
Again, I think they already answer some of my questions. But I commend Alderman Clay and the organizations for this important effort. I think is a huge need and not enough units. It's not enough units. So very favorable to this project. My question around the supportive housing, mental health services, also be concerned about like domestic violence, the rise. And what are some of the challenges they see? I'm glad to see that there are housing developers that are doing this work, that incorporates this work. Maybe some of the challenges I'd love to see. We had one in our ward recently, always in construction with Franciscan Outreach. What are some of the challenges to continue doing this work? I really think that we have a shortage of these kind of proposals.
Well, the first challenge, as I'm sure it's not a surprise, is cost in the funding. And we continue to build buildings. We go one at a time because we need operating subsidies for our apartments because every woman that comes to us, as I mentioned, over half have 0 income. So every single one of our buildings has an operating subsidy associated with the apartment. And those are very competitive to get. That's one of the barriers, and the financing. So we're going in getting the LIHTC, the low income housing tax credits. It's a very competitive process. So we are going in there. We feel it's a stellar application to get the tax credits, but then that equity only covers so much. And there is a soft cost component that Sarah Circle has to cover. And it requires effort on TAPA. We have a Sarah Circle to raise quite a bit of money to get these buildings built. So a lot of it comes down to financial. So we can get the tax credits and we can get other sources of public funds, but as the agency itself, we still have to raise quite a bit of money. And then it's operating costs, ongoing operating costs, because we do have the operating subsidies, but we maintain a very high caliber building. We're serving a very vulnerable population. It requires quite a bit of support services, 24-hour staffing, so the ongoing cost per unit is up there. And then when we do have unit turnover, which we really don't have much, we turn it over in compliance with the CHA. But as I said, we really don't have that much unit turnover. And then, so that's on the financial side in terms of building the buildings. The other challenges are mental health. And the mental health challenges have always been, are increasing as a significant barrier to housing stability. So what Sarah Circle has done is we have a director of clinical services who has an incredible background in providing clinical services. Some of it is directly, but quite a bit of it is training staff and working with some of the women, but also training the staff and also doing outreach and collaboration with other groups. Because while we deal quite a bit with women that have significant mental health challenges, we are not a mental health provider. But our strength has been collaborating with different hospitals and making sure each woman that we house has a health home, and we establish her health home, and the case managers can facilitate her appointments and her care.
What is the cost of per unit? Do we have a cost per unit in this particular project? And what is the subsidy more or less?
The subsidy is the CHA subsidy, and I think that's coming in at about $14.50 a unit, 1,000, but that could change by the time this building's built. And then the cost to build it, the operating or the construction cost to build it is about 34 million per unit basis.
It's 600, it's
630,000
now.
Oh, it's about 630.
Commissioner Reyes?
I just want to follow that because I think it's important to say in front of this audience that affordable rental housing is very expensive to build, right? We all know that. But I think that I salute the effort that you are protecting the birds. Like I said earlier, I love the birds, right? But those are the small or big things that added cost to the construction of these units. In affordable housing, rental affordable housing must comply with even further requirements that the Chicago Building Department. So all of that, it indicates why the cost is so high. And so this is why there are groups that have been advocating to introduce some changes to that, because at this cost, we're not going to be able to do it. And what she just mentioned about the competitive process is extremely competitive. You know that, Alderman, we have worked together a couple of years just to do one project. So I think we all need to reflect more about the cost per unit when we are doing affordable rental.
If I could just chime in, Commissioner Boatright, just to kind of raise a message as relates to affordable housing. It's not just the burden for the implementation. It's a lot of the soft costs tied to affordable housing. I think that should go. I don't want to offset one for the other. Both are very, but it's not just the building components that drive the costs up for construction. The soft costs, the nature of the financing that help to increase the cost per unit. So I just want to.
Most of the cost is construction.
It's construction, yes, but it's also more soft costs we do have on the typical market. I just wanted to kind of amplify that message, just for everyone.
Commissioner Laspada?
Thank you so much, because I support the project deeply. What you're doing means a lot to me, particularly when I think about what my mom's housing needs look like in the decade or so before she passed back in New Jersey. Because we're talking about it, I want to reemphasize this point that there are a lot of things that we can do to make affordable housing and development in general more affordable and more streamlined. I want to very firmly reject the notion that we can't build affordably and sustainably at the same time. Those are purposes that go together, and they must go together, I think, for the broad health of the city of Chicago. I wanted to affirm that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Laspada. Let the record reflect that Commissioner Ramirez Rosa is in attendance as well. I also got updated photos from other buildings that you have built, so thank you for that. I think the renderings were not really providing that quality aspect or materiality that we were, that we get to see from the actual built projects that we've completed in the city. So thank you for that. Any other questions or comments from the commissioners? Not seeing any hands raised, so I know Jesse will make a statement on this item as well. Please take it over.
Everyone, once again, I'm Jesse Orr, Director of Development for the 46th Ward Office. Alderwoman Clay is continuing to be in transit and has been actively watching the entire hearing. I want to first say a big thank you to Kathy, to Steve, to the rest of the Sarah Circle team, to the Perkins and Will team for being such great partners on this project. Big thank you as well to Hussein, Allison, Butler, and Kathleen for your comments on the project, and to the commissioners for, I think, such a great substantive discussion of the crisis of cost we have in building affordable housing. We know projects like these are so necessary. I'm just going to read off from our support letter. Alderwoman Clay, dear Chairwoman Flores, I'm writing to express my support for the Sarah Circle application for lakefront protection ordinance approval at 4432 North Clarendon. This project will bring a 7-story, 54-unit permanent supportive housing building, the first of 3 potential buildings on this longtime vacant lot, to a site across from the recently renovated Clarendon Park Community Center. I want to note this is a location that is really special to the Alderwoman's heart. She grew up just 1 or 2 blocks away from this, and actually I currently live about 1 block away from this site. And I think, at the 46th Ward, we believe that every neighborhood deserves permanent supportive housing, and it's actually a big asset to the community. It's not something that we should see as something you put over there, but something we want right where we live. All units in this building will be targeted to women at risk of homelessness who earn no more than 30% of area median income, currently about $25,000 a year. Building amenities will include a community room with a kitchenette, therapeutic garden, sensory room, and 24/7 on-site staffing, including security and property management. This project, our community engagement, included a community meeting hosted by Sarah Circle at their Sarah's on Lakeside building. As Steve mentioned, it was a very cold night, but we were able to get at least, I think, about 40 to 50 community members on site, which also gave community members a chance to see what the inside of a Sarah Circle building actually looks like, what kind of services they offer. I want to, thank Sarah Circle for making that opportunity available, not just to our office, but to neighbors. A majority of feedback that our office received supported this project. And Alderwoman Clay strongly requests your support as well. We need permanent supportive housing projects just like this, not only in Uptown, not only in the 46th Ward, but all across the city to make sure that every Chicagoan has a high quality home of their own. Thank you.
Chelsea, any last minute questions or comments from the commissioners? If not, then I'll go ahead and ask for a motion. Do I have a motion on a proposed Lake Michigan and Chicago Lakefront Protection Ordinance application submitted by Sarah Circle, an Illinois non-for-profit, for the property generally located at 4432 through 4458 North Clarendon Avenue, finding that it meets the requirements for approval?
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Espada. Do I have a second? Commissioner Villegas? Roll call vote. Commissioner Boatright? Yes. Thank you. Commissioner Brumfield?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Flores? Yes. Commissioner Espada?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Lyons? Yes. Thank you. Commissioner Murphy?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Piñeiro?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Ramirez Rosa?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Reyes?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Sicho Lopez?
Yes.
Thank you. And Commissioner Villegas?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. Thank you.
So it was that.
Just want to make sure.
Yes, we are.
Or call me later.
Jason said. The actual school is just next door. You guys, let's stay quick. Jason said, I got access.
My husband's old account. I was scared. He's since he's in that. He said he'll drive me back and down and find $7. The old tandem built the building. We do renovation. We help them do their. I take it right out of Vandy, sure, like.
One of tandem was supposed to be the dress.
Yeah, whatever.
Well, actually, they're better now. They're better now. Even so, so much better.
Gonna keep moving, okay? The next item is listed as E3, a proposed amendment to residential business plan development number 1300, submitted by 1061 West Van Buren Partners LLC for the property that are relocated at 1061 West Van Buren Street. The applicant proposes rezoning all of residential business plan development number 1300 to residential business plan development number 1300 as amended to add personal service, daycare, and children's play center to the list of permitted uses. There will be no new construction site changes or modifications to the bulk or density of the existing building or the previously approved plan development. This is item 22959, and it's in the 34th ward. Louis Clayton will provide the context overview and present the proposed plan.
Good morning, Chairwoman Flores and Commissioners. For the record, my name is Louis Clayton with the Department of Planning and Development. The applicant, 1061 West Van Buren Partners LLC, and their development team appear here today requesting approval of an amendment to PD 1300 to add personal service, daycare, and children's play center to the list of permitted uses. If approved, approximately 2,000 square feet of ground floor retail space will be built out for Junior Chef's Kitchen, which offers hands-on cooking and nutrition classes for children ages 2 through 18, and recently received a community development grant to support its opening. The application has been submitted as a mandatory amendment to a plan development. Subject property is in the near West Side community area in the 34th ward. This table compares the community area's demographics with those of the city overall. PD 1300 has a net site area of 28,749 square feet and is located on the south side of West Van Buren Street between South Racine Avenue on the west and South Morgan Street on the east. Property is a designated transit served location for being located within 2,640 feet of the Racine and UIC Halsted stations on the Blue Line. And this is the site located within the existing zoning context. At this point, I'll turn it over to the applicant team to discuss the proposed PD amendment on subsequent sites.
Thank you, Louis. Good morning, Chairwoman Flores and members of the commission. For the record, my name is Ed Cusson, attorney with Taft Law Firm, located at 111 East Wacker. As you heard, we are here today to just a technical amendment to residential plan development number 1300. Just to add specific uses to the list of permitted uses, as Louis noted to you. The original approval date of this plan development was November 18th, 2015. There was a minor change granted June 30th, 2022. And that minor change essentially reduced the height of the building from about 275 feet to 225 feet. And also reduced the number of parking spaces from 140 to 82 parking spaces. The building itself contains 298 dwelling units, The mix of units is about 45% studios, and 1 bedrooms, 45% 2 bedrooms, about 10% bedrooms. This is the site plan of the ground floor of the existing building. The proposed tenant, Junior Chef's Kitchen, will be located on the northeast corner, which is the upper right of the site plan before you, and it consists of about 2,000 square feet. In terms of pedestrian context, the slide on the left shows the building looking south on Aberdeen Street. Aberdeen Street on that building site was vacated at the time of construction between Van Buren and Tilden, which is like a frontage road directly behind it. The upper right slide is a view looking east on West Van Buren Street, and the lower slide is looking west on West Van Buren Street. In terms of economic and community benefits, again, the proposed tenant is Junior Chef's Kitchen. It's a 100% woman-owned business enterprise in Chicago, and this will be their second location. The first location is located on the 2400 block of North Lincoln Avenue. The projected build-out cost is approximately $550,000, which includes funds from the City of Chicago Community Development Grant. Junior Chef's Kitchen will provide approximately 13 part-time jobs and 1 full-time job at this particular site. And in terms of construction, it's uncertain at this point, but there will be about 40 tradespeople in and out at various times, building out the interior of the space. And they will all strive to meet the city's MBEWBE participation goals. The slide on the right is just a depiction from their current facility showing one of the classes that they operate. The classes go by age group of children. They go from like 2 to 5, age 6 to 9, and then age 10 to 14. The average class size is about 8 students per class. Other times they might have a birthday party or other event for students and their parents to participate. But overall, it's a very small class size, and they have various classes throughout the year. It's almost like going to school. They have different semesters and different quarters for instructional cooking. And that completes my presentation.
Again, for the record, Louis Clayton with TPD. TPD has reviewed the proposal and concluded that it is appropriate for this site, meets the criteria set forth in the Chicago zoning ordinance, and its adoption would not have any adverse impacts on the public's health, safety, or welfare. Specifically, the proposal has undergone thorough public review by multiple city agencies. The proposal is compatible with its base zoning district of GX7 and will not negatively affect nearby developments. The proposal promotes economically beneficial development patterns that fit the character of the surrounding neighborhood and nearby properties. And the proposal complies with all relevant standards and guidelines. It's compatible with the surrounding area in terms of use density and building scale, and the public infrastructure and city services are adequate to support the proposed development. Please refer to my staff report for further details regarding this project and the plans identified here today. Based on the foregoing, it is the recommendation of the zoning administrator of the Department of Planning and Development that this application to amend residential business plan development number 1300 be approved, and that the recommendation to the City Council Committee on Zoning, Landmarks, and Building Standards be passage recommended.
Thank you, Louis. Any questions or comments from the commissioners on this item? Pretty straightforward, technical amendment. If not, then I'll hand it over to Steve, who's here from Alderman Conway's office to speak on this item.
Yes, Steve Valenziano on behalf of Alderman Conway. He fully supports this amendment and this business moving into the ward and expanding the business. And would just like to, say that this is a lot of process and extra processing cost that this business has had to undergo because it wasn't included originally in the plan development, this personal service, which would be permitted by right in the underlying zoning. So we should take that into account when crafting the plan developments in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Any follow-up questions or comments from commissioners? If not, I'll go ahead and ask for a motion. Do I have a motion on a proposed amendment to residential business plan development number 1300 submitted by 1061 West Van Buren Partners LLC for the property generally located at 1061 West Van Buren Street, finding that it meets the requirements for approval. Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Boatright, second by Commissioner Pinedo. Roll call vote. Commissioner Boatright? Yes. Thank you. Commissioner Frenchfield?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Flores? Yes. Commissioner Laspada?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Lyons?
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Murphy.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Pinedo.
Yes.
Commissioner Ramirez Rosa.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Reyes.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Sicho Lopez.
Yes.
Thank you. And Commissioner Villegas.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Oh, I can see.
You don't know.
So we'll go out of order now, so this is gonna be item D5, so if anyone from that team is here, wanna take the hand.
Yeah.
So again, we will go out of order, on the last two items, D5 will be heard next, followed by D4. The next item today is listed as D5, a proposed residential plan development submitted by 213 Property LLC for the property generally located at 215 North Racine Avenue. The applicant seeks to rezone the property from DX5 to DX7, DX16, and then to a residential business plan development to permit the construction of a 29-story, 347 dwelling unit mixed-use building and 88 vehicular parking spaces, and 8.7 FAR bonus will be utilized, and the overall FAR of the plan development will be 24.7. This is item 22741, and it's in the 27th ward. Rich Clayton will provide a context overview and present the proposed plan.
Good morning, Chairwoman Flores and Commissioners. Again, for the record, my name is Louis Clayton with the Department of Planning and Development. The applicant, 213 Property LLC, and their development team appear here today requesting approval of a plan development to permit the construction of a 29-story, 347 dwelling unit, mixed-use building, and 88 vehicular parking spaces. An 8.7 floor area bonus will be taken, and the overall FAR for the plan development will be 24.7. Plan development review and approval is mandatory for any development using floor area bonuses. Subject property is located in the near west side community area and the 27th ward. This table compares the community area's demographics with those of the city. The subject property is 13,190 net square feet and is bounded by South Racine Avenue to the west and public alleys to the north, east, and south. The property is designated as a transit served location for being located within 2,640 feet of the Morgan Station on the Green Line. The site is not located within a landmark district, but is within the Kinsey Industrial Corridor and the Kinsey Industrial Conservation Area TIF District. The site is improved with a 3-story multifamily residential building and surface parking lot.
The surrounding area consists of commercial, multifamily, residential, and industrial land uses. The property is currently zoned DX5 Downtown Mixed Use District. The surrounding zoning districts consist mainly of C1 Neighborhood Commercial District, DX, DS Downtown Service District, and Planned Development. This map compares bulk and density designations with planned developments crosshatched. The applicant seeks to rezone the property from DX5 to DX16 and then to planned development. In terms of base floor area designations, adjacent properties range between -1 and -7. The nearest -16 zone property, shown here in purple, is 0.8 miles southeast of the subject site. The -16 designation is currently limited to properties in the downtown core, generally bounded by Kenzie Street, Michigan Avenue, Ida B. Wells Drive, and Canal Street, and Michigan Avenue between Chicago and Roosevelt. The property lies within the boundary of the Fulton Market Innovation District Plan and the West Loop Design Guidelines, and is generally consistent with the applicable recommendations above. At this point, I'll turn it over to the applicant team to discuss the proposed plan development on the following slide.
Thank you, Louis. My name is Thomas Raines. I'm the attorney for the applicant 213 Properties LLC, the project. With me today is Philip Chacho, a principal of 213 Properties LLC, and Kazmi Rajipuro, the architect of the project from RKO Arco Design Studio. Before we begin, I'd like to thank Commissioner Boatright, Zoning Administrator Murphy, Assistant Commissioner Safranek, Lewis, Kevin McGinnis from CDOT, and Sam True from Housing for all their help to date. I'd also like to thank Alderman Burnett for his patience and working with us on modification after modification during this entire process. With that, I'll turn it over to Cosmin, who will continue the presentation and will be available for questions there.
Thank you, Tom. I would also like to thank the commissioners and the public in attendance for your time and consideration of this project. And obviously DPD, the Aldermanic Office, all the various city organizations and entities that have guided us and helped us to get to this point. To start with, we have a slide of an aerial view of the context showing the multiple proposed, approved, some of them, unfortunately not enough in the last 3 years, built structures. The project on the discussion is the point tower in the middle, which shows that it's in the spirit and comparable with the context as far as bulk is concerned. This is an aerial view. The intent in the design was to harmonize the project with both the historic heritage of the neighborhood, the industrial heritage of the neighborhood, as well as the more recent developments. So it's as materials is a combination of glass, metal, and architectural masonry, with the patterning and a color palette that we think is very much in line with their context. Two smaller vignettes of the amenity area on the top. The building volume is eroded at the top to reduce the fault and terminate the building. Also offers great exposure south and west for the amenity there. Thanks. As far as the urban design, like I said, it's a interpretation, modern interpretation of the existing heritage with glass and metal, significant metal projections, a metal grid, and a mostly non-glass, opaque, or translucent podium. So it's a tiered design. Strong vertical column features are grounding finding the two towers and podium and grounding the building. Also intentional, we tried to maintain the datum of the streets, keeping the similar elevation with the adjacent buildings by creating a generous terraces, the first residential level. Next. As far as the street level, it's all the entire scene is activated with transparent glass. As you can see, the existing conditions, the three-story residential building with the surface parking. We eliminated the curb cut, transfer the access to the parking garage through the alley. Similar view, frontal view, we use architectural features like a small canopy to define the entrance. The parking garage is enclosed in an architectural mesh, a metal mesh that allows for the required ventilation. Also recalls the industrial heritage, has bronze color that intends to harmonize with the surrounding environment. Also, the overall building volume is rounded. It has rounded corners to soften the bulk. Similar view looking up towards north. The rounded corners and transparent corners increase the safety, pedestrian safety by allowing a better sight line to the traffic on the alleyways. Here's the project timeline with community outreach. We submitted to for PD in April. As a matter of fact, we had meetings with community organizations, a couple of meetings before that. We've been working on this project for a long time, and we took some input from them, and obviously from the Alderman's office in developing the design, and the intended construction timelines 24 months. We get a chance to do that after this meeting. Here is just a plan layout. All we're seeing is enclosed in glass. There is a small community-based type retail component on the north side. The rest is occupied by reception and managing the leasing office. There is a garage access through the north alley. There are two loading dock on the east side. We recessed that to allow for easy maneuverability of box trucks for moving and move outs. The following 3 floors are occupied by parking spots, and we have 88 parking spots, or a good portion of those being supplied with EV charging, all of them being EV ready. And we have a 1-to-1 bike storage, also bike maintenance and repair shops. First floor residential, like I said, has that loggia that maintains the datum. It's at the same elevation as the adjacent building. It's a combination of studios, 1 and 2 bedroom units. The floors from 7 to 26 are all identical. Again, a combination of 1 studios, 1 bedroom, 2 bedrooms.
top two residential levels are penthouse type units with 2 and 3 bedroom. They also have, they're the only units except for the 6th floor that have terraces. Then on level 29, we have a amenity floor with a generous deck facing west and south. Will be we have a pool and other amenities. It will be will have green planting. The interior amenities are typical co-working spaces, gym sorts. As you can see, the intent is for the roof to be fully covered with to be green roofs. Again, elevations that show that strong metal grid that is doubled by a more filigree design to break down the overall bulk, but still express the vertical aspect of the building. Same thing with different moves that we did to break down a little bit the volume at the top on the sides. And this is the elevation facing east towards downtown. North elevation. This section of the building, we have generous floor to floor. It's 10'8". The idea that some of the 1 bedrooms will have powered light. These are small axonometrics of the materiality. To the left, you can see the ground floor and the metal mesh, architectural mesh for the garage enclosure. Behind it, they're concrete, whole concrete barriers, so there's no light pollution from the cars. The sides, the back are all finished in architectural face masonry, smooth face masonry. Typical floor is a glass and metal. As I said, there's the big projection every 3 floors, expressing the verticality of the project. A secondary, more filigree address on in between to give that feeling of the industrial metal sashes are present in some of the buildings in the area. Again, a view of the ground floor with the canopy marking the main entrance, and the way the building breaks down at the very top. There's some terraces, amenity deck, and the mechanical areas is fully enclosed and screened. As mentioned before, we really care about improving safety, pedestrian safety. I think that by eliminating the curb, adding and curving the corners, so that we add safety to the pedestrian and more visibility of traffic. We added some benches in the front available to the community. As far as the open space, there open space in the building itself on the terraces, primarily private on the terraces and the amenity deck. There are also the landscaping that we provide up front. But in addition to that, there is an offsite park that is about 1.5 blocks a way that we are offering, and that would be fully public. I think it's in the next slide, but we definitely exceeds what the open space requirements are. Obviously not fully developed at this stage, but we're looking forward to working with the Alderman's office and the community in designing this public park. As far as sustainable development policy, again, we're taking the bird protection basic, the first 75 feet, and there's a separate slide where we explain what we're doing that. We're looking at exceeding the energy transformation code by 10%. And what I didn't mention, there's sponsored, and it's not shown in the plans. We're looking at sponsoring a BB bike share station. There's 100% residential bike parking facilities, EV charging, and public transportation digital display in the lobby. Bird-friendly design, like I said, up to 75 feet. We're probably around 10% of the enclosure is glass. We're planning on providing bird-friendly glass on the first level of residential. And we're looking at options for the ground level. I don't think the freighted pattern is appropriate for retail or lobby, but there are other options there. So we're investigating maybe pattern UV glass there. Obviously, we're concerned with public safety, so there will be lighting around, but lighting would be shaded to prevent light pollution to prevent attracting birds. Transportation, like I said, we have all. We're within we're considered a transit served location, but we are providing 88 parking spots, 1-to-1 bike storage, maintenance, the mentioned BB bike that will be sponsored. We relocated the curb cut or eliminated the curb cut, relocated traffic. We're understanding that so already been approved the Racine streets to be a one-way traffic facing headed south. We think that will definitely improve the traffic on site. Like with LA, we obviously have a traffic study. If there's any questions, we can address those, or Mike can address those. Mentioned before, as far as stormwater management, it's going to be a combination of the on-site storage underneath the parking ramp and additional retainage on the green roof. And we're planning on exceeding that by 25%. Economic and community benefits, maybe the developer can speak to that.
Sure. Thank you, Yeah. Good morning. My name is Philip Chacho. I'm the principal and manager of 213 Property LLC. First, I would like to thank the planning department, team, this committee, Alderman Burnett, and all the stakeholders who have dedicated a meaningful amount of time and effort to this process. We've owned and operated and thoughtfully planned for the future of this property for nearly 8 years. During this time, we explored numerous development concepts, and like many in today's environment, work to adapt to ever-evolving market conditions. Throughout the process, we consulted with a broad range of planning and design experts and made a concerted effort to engage the surrounding community. In doing so, we believe we have not only presented our ideas, but more importantly, listened and carefully communicated carefully listened to the community feedback and responded accordingly. Consistently, we heard a strong desire for affordable housing, particularly housing that extends beyond studios and smaller scale units to include family-sized residences. We've also heard repeated calls for meaningful, publicly accessible green space that is open and integrated into the neighborhood rather than confined within a private development. In response, we worked collaboratively with community members to identify and facilitate the donation of a community park comprising more than 10,000 square feet of publicly accessible green space located within 700 feet of the proposed development. As stated in the testimony presented, we are proposing a 347 unit building, of which 70 units will be designated as affordable housing. Notably, nearly 40% of those affordable units will be larger family-sized residences, representing a substantially higher proportion that is typically included in developments within Fulton Market District. The project is also expected to generate more than 300 union construction jobs while meeting and or exceeding the MBE and WBE participation goals outlined by the City of Chicago in this presentation. In addition, we will contribute approximately $2.7 million to the Neighborhood Opportunity Fund and invest several million more in the acquisition, development, and long-term management of the publicly accessible park at 1240 West Carroll. It is also worth noting that as part of the process of engagement with the community, we're proud to have received letters of support for the proposed development from the Chicago and Cook County Building and Trades Council, who I believe many of the members are here today, Hire 360 Initiative, as well as the WLCO Neighborhood Organization. With these commitments, we believe the planned development proposed for 215 North Racine will add a meaningful value to the fabric of both the city and the Fulton Market District. All right, so what we have on the screen now is the Affordable Requirements Ordinance unit matrix. On the left side, you can see the market rate, total unit counts by unit type, percentage basis, and the average square footage. On the right-hand side, you can see the arrow units. We worked with Sam Drew with the Department of Housing to come up with the proper matrix, make sure that we were delivering in accordance with the arrow, as well as, you know, the feedback we had from the community, which was to orient it towards larger units if possible, is what we've done. So you can see on the right-hand side, 29 studios, 16 one beds, 24 two beds, and 1 3 beds. Like I said, nearly 40% of those being larger family-oriented units. This is a breakdown of the AMI mix of the arrow units by income levels. So you can see the total amount of units per unit type, the average income ranges, and then a list of the maximum rents each AMI level based on the unit types. Again, this is in line in accordance with working with Sam Drew to make sure we have complete compliance. Thank you.
Again, for the record, Louis Clayton from DPD. While the development generally meets the review and decision-making criteria for planned developments, the requested rezoning to DX16 raises significant concerns and does not satisfy all required review and decision-making criteria for zoning map amendments, including compatibility with surrounding zoning, compatibility with density and building scale of the surrounding area, and justification based on significant changes in the character of the area. For these reasons, we have concluded that the proposal is not appropriate for the site and do not support the requested development. DX16 is the most permissive zoning classification in the city with respect to height, bulk, and density, and is intentionally limited to downtown core and along portions of Michigan Avenue. The nearest property with the -16 designation is approximately 0.8 miles southeast of the subject site. Designations adjacent to the subject property range from -1 to -7, and in the West Loop Fulton Market area west of the Kennedy Expressway, the highest bulk and density designation is -7. Approving this request would establish an undesirable precedent, encouraging similar requests that are incompatible with the surrounding zone. This table compares the approved bulk and density standards for adjacent planned developments.
Although the building's proposed use, height, and unit count generally align with adjacent planned developments, the proposal is an outlier in terms of net site area, floor area ratio, and density. The -16 designation permits the highest base FAR in the city, and unlike all other bulk and density designations, it is not subject to caps on floor area bonuses and minimum lot area reductions. As a result, the proposal seeks a total floor area ratio of 24.7, which is 2.5 times larger than average, and a minimum lot area of 38 square feet per unit, which results in a density that is 3.4 times greater than average. And lastly, there have been no substantial changes in public facility capacity, prior rezonings, or growth and development trends that would justify the requested DX16 zoning. While we do not support the proposed DX16 designation, we are not necessarily opposed to the project overall. The applicant could achieve the proposed project and satisfy the required review and decision-making criteria for zoning map amendments by purchasing development rights from adjacent properties and expanding the boundaries of the proposed planned development. Alternatively, the applicant could reduce the size and unit count of the proposal and request a lower bulk and density designation that is compatible with surrounding zoning. Please refer to my staff report for further details regarding this project and the plans identified here today. Based on the foregoing, it is the recommendation of the zoning administrator of the Department of Planning and Development that this application for the residential plan development be opposed, and that the recommendation to the City Council Committee on Zoning, Landmarks, and Building Standards be passage not recommended.
Good. I do have 8 speakers signed up to speak on this item, so I'll call the first 4. Mr. Butler Adams, who's for the proposal. Ms. Patty Doyle, who's against the proposal. Paul Jacobs, who's for the proposal. And Dr. Chloe Groom, who's for the proposal. Mr. Adams?
Yes, my name is Butler Adams. I am certainly in favor of this proposal. I wrote a letter that's now online. So I write this letter in support of the residential tower proposed for the site at 215 North Racine and subsequent zoning change from DX5 to DX16. One thing unique about the 215 North Racine project is it is a mid-block positioning on a fairly small footprint of just above 13,200 square feet. The majority of Fulton Market West Loop towers have been on much larger sites, and I believe this is one of the reasons for the developer seeking the DX16 zoning. I have seen in recent articles and community groups postings proclaiming this Fulton Market high-rise proposal to reshape downtown development, and my response to that is good, an exclamation point. That's why this area was part of the downtown expansion map in the first place, to allow for taller and denser buildings. I don't believe that DX12 or DX16 zoning is forbidden in that expansion area. Make no little plans to mean something in the city. With the West Loop guidelines being nearly a decade old and the city working on its 2024 plan, which I have right here in my hand, DX12 and 16 should certainly be considered for this area. Architecturally, I feel this is a very nice design, though I would hope there's continued study on the parking garage base cladding. I feel the glass cladding of the tower be brought down to the sidewalk, of course, friendly glass, and with those metal perforation louvers on the alley side of the building. Fulton Market is an area in transition from meatpacking to mixed use. It's evolving and there's no one set dynamic or character. While this is part of a historic district, everything else should be free game. I respectfully request this project at 215 North Racine be approved by the Plan Commission. And in terms of fears of this being unprecedented, I would just like to say the John Hancock Center is not necessarily in the core of downtown. It's about a mile north of the Sears Tower, and I believe that site is DX12 too. So I don't see why this could not be that as well. And I do think that the Alderman, I'm not sure if it's been positioned right now, but I hope that he will support this project. And if it doesn't go through right now, I hope he will look to perhaps rezone the area. Because if we're gonna have a fear of heightened density, maybe the Alderman should take hold of those reins and push it through.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Adams, for all those in one. Patty Doyle.
Just gonna sneak over here so I'm not behind you all. Thank you. My name's Patty Doyle. I am the Executive Director of the West Central Association Chamber of Commerce. We represent the businesses and the community in the near west side. I think many of you know at the WCA, we have a review process for our economic development team. We look at all proposed development. We look at them with a core focus, right? We want to look at how they contribute to our business vitality, economic growth, and the long-term stability in our neighborhood. We are generally pro-growth. We strongly support thoughtful density, expanded housing options, and increased affordability. There were 3 projects in our service area on the agenda today, including agenda items 3 and 4, but wanted to specifically make comments about this one. For 215 North Racine, we did conduct a full review of this and previously issued our comments in opposition. On its own, the building size, unit count, and overall scale could fit within the neighborhood context. And we agree with our alderman that increased density, larger units, and meaningful affordability are critical goals in our area. That being said, our opposition is due to the DX16 zoning in a neighborhood where the highest existing density is DX7. We know this allows for unlimited FAR and believe that it sets a significant precedent. We feel the same development outcomes could have been achieved through other zoning mechanisms that would not introduce such a dramatic shift in the underlying zoning. To be clear, the WCA supports more density. We want more family-oriented units and more affordable housing. Our position here is about process and precedent and ensuring that growth happens in a way that is consistent, predictable, and aligned with long-term planning and growth for the near west side. Thank you all.
Thank you. Paul Jacobs.
Over here. I'm Paul Jacobs. I'm here to speak in support of the proposed development at 215 Racine. This is a project that will transform a deeply underutilized spot into housing for over 347 neighbors with 70 affordable units. In an area where there's a huge deficit of family-friendly housing, this project will be 40% family housing, comprising 2 and 3 bedrooms. This is a building perfectly in line with the neighborhood and nearby housing, such as the 43-story building at 900 West Randolph and many others as pointed out in the presentation. At the city, we're in a deep housing deficit with average rents increasing 6% last year. We're dead last in housing delivery nationwide, with half of the nationwide average. We've got a deficit of 140,000 units Illinois-wide. We should be supporting more housing in urban dense neighborhoods, exactly like the West Loop. In a time where we must build more housing, some are proposing that we refuse to do so in one of the most desirable, transit-rich, and densest neighborhoods. If we do not build housing in the West Loop, where can we possibly build housing? Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Chloe Groom.
Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Chloe Groom. I volunteer with Abundant Housing Illinois, and I also serve on the board of Strong Towns Chicago, a volunteer advocacy group with over 500 members. I live in West Loop and I love it here. I am here to speak in strong support of this project at 215 North Racine. This building will provide much needed housing to the city, including large family-sized 2 and 3 bedroom units that are scarce in West Loop and that I could see me and my husband moving into in the coming years. The economic benefits not only include the jobs provided by the initial construction, but continued property taxes to the city, more customers for West Loop to support local businesses, and even additional green space that the developer is paying for and managing themselves that I didn't know about until now. As a reminder, the city faces a $1 billion with a B budget deficit. Additionally, as a bonus, I find the design with the copper siding quite beautiful. As someone who walks everywhere, I don't notice the difference between a building that's 250 feet tall and a building that's 350 feet tall. I support the upzoning of all of West Loop to DX16 to encourage similar projects. In conclusion, I implore the commission to approve this project and take a major step towards alleviating both the housing shortage and the budget challenges that the city is facing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we have four more speakers, Tasman Tanvir, followed by Richard Day, Mike Machilayo, and Christine Esposito. You want to start?
Hello, everybody. My name is Tasneem Tanvir. I live on Racine, actually, just a little bit for a few blocks south. I also walk everywhere. My husband and my son in the stroller, and I really appreciate the improvements that the project will make to the pedestrian environment. My son got scared the other day because there was a curb cut, and somebody was driving out of the garage, and it just goes straight onto the street. So I really appreciate the movement of the garage into the alley. I think it just makes everything really safe. I also just want to speak about how much I love Living West and how much I appreciate that, especially out within Burnett, taking bold decision to expand and open that lighthouse development. And I would just contend that now, we want more neighbors, we want more people for our businesses, we want more taxes for our tax base. What we want is more, so I don't really see the point of shining that and the basis of procedural, what have you. None of us knows the future, none of us knows what will be the future of development in West Loop, but if you had told people 20 years ago what the West Loop has become now, I don't think you would find people who believe you. So I think opening up to DX16 zoning is the right decision. I think we should let beautiful buildings exist. And I'm really excited for the additions to the safety and the activity and the vibrancy of the neighborhood.
Thank you. Richard Day.
Hi, my name is Richard Day. I'm with Abundant Housing Illinois, and I support the DX16 zoning for 216 North Racine. Chicago desperately needs more construction jobs. We desperately need more housing. We desperately need more tax revenue. And this is a project that would help deliver all three. There are also not a lot of neighborhoods where there's real pressure to build right now in the city. Interest rates and business climate. So if we say no to opportunities where there is demand and opportunity, we're going to be left with very, very little. I also think that it's quite unfortunate that DPD is objecting to this on the technicality regarding the prior West Loop area plan that's been created. It would be great if we had a citywide zoning plan and a citywide comprehensive plan that had targets for growth across the whole city and made it easy and predictable to build everywhere. Right? We don't have that. We live in a world of prerogative. Aldermen get to make individual decisions about what happens in the world. And often those decisions are things like downzones or banning apartments near transit. When aldermen make those decisions, they never go before the plan commission. DPD doesn't come out guns blazing and oppose efforts to block the development or block their housing in other places. It's only when an alderman is doing the right thing, when Alderman Burnett is standing up for more housing, more tax revenue, and more opportunities in neighborhood. He's trying to break the plan in the other direction, build more housing, then it goes to CPC. And so if CPC only enforces the rules when we're trying to build more housing and doesn't get involved at all when alders are blocking housing or blocking development, we end up in a situation where we have a one-way ratchet resulting in less housing and less opportunity than we have. So be great to have a citywide plan, be great to have citywide planning guidelines. Until that point, we shouldn't get in the way of an alderman who's doing the right thing by the city and doing the right thing by the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike?
I want to thank everybody for being here and for letting us, oh,
The record.
you actually pronounced it
Oh,
correctly.
did, okay. I wasn't
If you're
sure.
over Milan,
I
you
wanted-
nailed it.
I wanted.
But in
Thank you.
Chicago, we just say Maslach. Over it, Maslach, all right. Oh, no, thanks, everybody. I'm Mike Maslach, president of the Chicago and Cook County Building and Construction Trades Council. We became aware of this project recently, and wrote a letter to the commissioner on February 9th, so I'll just read that real quickly. Dear Commissioner, I'm writing on behalf of the Chicago and Cook County Building and Construction Trades Council, to voice our support for the proposed residential project at 215 North Racine, which is on the February 19th, 2026 Plan Commission agenda for consideration. As you know, we are very interested in moving development forward in the city of Chicago and must support those seeking to create union construction jobs and much needed affordable housing units. While we understand there are concerns about this project proposed zoning designation, the addition of 347 units, of which 70 are affordable, the creation of 300 union construction jobs, and a public park are variables simply too significant to overlook. If you should have any questions or comments about this matter, please don't hesitate to give me a call. Sincerely, Mike Maslow. So on behalf of our affiliates and our approximate 100,000 union building trade families, in the Chicagoland area, we would ask you to support this project and move forward.
Thank you. And lastly, we have Christine Esposito.
Hello again. I'm still Christine Esposito. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
I'm a longtime Chicago resident here to represent Bird Friendly Chicago, an organization with more than 20,000 supporters. While I cannot speak to the zoning considerations of this project, we would like to thank 213 Property and RKO Design Studio for planning to use bird friendly design and materials in your project at 215 North Racine. Buildings with untreated glass are lethal for birds as they make their way through Chicago during migration and throughout the year. So we are pleased and grateful you've chosen to follow DPP sustainability guidelines for development. Over the last year, Bird Friendly Chicago has watched projects come before this commission and has seen the commission encourage developers and architects to use bird friendly design, build state-of-the-art buildings that the developer and the city of Chicago can be proud of, in part because the buildings effectively protect migratory birds. It's always refreshing and encouraging when developers seize that opportunity. I was going to ask the commissioners to question the developer about why the building does not have bird-friendly glass on the first floor, especially in light of the landscaping there that would attract birds that would then fly into the glass, and especially because there are so many other great sustainability bird-friendly measures. However, if I heard correctly, it sounds like you are considering bird-friendly glass for that first floor.
Yeah.
We so appreciate that, and we thank you for that, and we thank the commissioners and everyone for listening, and I encourage the commissioners and the developer to continue to pursue that logical bird-friendly measure, especially again in light of everything that you've done. Again, we appreciate the bird protection measures that the developer and architect have committed to. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and open it up to the commissioners. I'm sure there's a lot to be talked about. Who wants to go first? Ms. Vada? Oh, and let the record reflect that Commissioner Esposito is in attendance.
Thank you so much. I want to start off saying I appreciate number one, because we've been talking about this today. 100 points on the sustainable development is not the ceiling. Like you can bust through the ceiling and you get significantly bust through the ceiling, seeking 130 points on this project. We have over 3 years that have served on the planning commission, reviewed and approved a lot of projects in the Fulton Market area. I think the concern around accessible recreational space, not just lawns, has come up frequently. And to see folks literally put their money where their mouth is with new, active, useful park space in the Fulton Market area. For me, like that is a first in the 3 years that I've been part of the planning commission. So I deeply appreciate that. I have one question related to the plan and then a couple of questions related to the zoning component. So I think I heard a 1-for-1 bike parking space on this project. I don't see that reflected on the plan. Is that like on the parking levels? How do you get?
It's on the parking levels. Majority are on the top parking level, but we have them spread. As you
There they are. So do you take the elevator?
You have to take the elevators.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the site is so small that we cannot provide a number of bikes on the ground floor.
Got it.
As much as we would have liked to.
Hey, I'll take the elevator. I know I have a few, DPD Lewis questions. Lewis, we were talking about the difference between DX-7 and -16. I also feel like I heard it said that if you're comparing this to other approved projects in the area from a height and unit count perspective, it's largely within the scope of height and unit count of projects that the planning commission has approved over the past few years. Talk about, in this case, how FAR between -7 and -16 makes a difference.
Right, so I think this chart is a good illustration of that. We looked at adjacent and nearby planned developments, so we could do a side-by-side comparison of their allowable bulk and density. So we looked at FAR, net site area, buildable area, height, unit count, and density, which we use minimum lot area per unit as a measure. So based primarily on the lot's smaller size, so it is the smallest of all the comparable PDs in the area. It requires a significantly higher FAR to justify the same building scale of comparable developments. So the proposed FAR is 24.7, and just comparing that to the average of all the adjacent ones is the average is 9.7. But again, a lot of these disparities are directly tied to the small lot size of the site.
So if they were building on either a larger lot or doing smaller units, that would be in compliance? Is that an accurate statement?
Yes, if you know, there's different math involved depending on what the base zoning is and the actual size, but generally these are larger planned developments, so they spread out that density to achieve a similar scale building, but with a larger PD area, where you're preserving smaller building heights within the same PD.
But the heights are not, the height of this building is not out of scale. Based on what I saw with other projects that have been currently approved within the general vicinity. Is that an accurate statement?
Correct, yeah, it's actually the exact average if you look at those adjacent PDs, so it's right in the.
Okay, that's what I figured. I will say for myself, taking this in totality, and I never want to wholly disregard the categories of zoning, but I do try to balance categories against building typology. What does the building look like? What is it providing? And when I think about that, again, like in a balancing with typology and the need, as was pointed out, for more family-sized units in this area. The idea that I'm not just starting my career in my life in the Fulton Market area, but when we get married, when I decide to have a kid, maybe two, that I can continue my life in the Fulton Market community. That's where I see a unique value in what's being put forward here today. And I think we should be, for me, zoning for and developing for the kinds of communities that we're trying to build, these kinds of intergenerational communities. So that is my personal perspective on the project, and I'm glad for the conversation here today. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anybody else? Commissioner Villegas.
Good afternoon, everyone. A question around, is this project funded and ready to go?
Yeah.
No gaps in the financial, ready to go?
In the conversations with the alderman, his support was contingent on that and the ability to move to permitting and construction immediately after passage, whether it be here or the city. I'm sorry. That yes, the financing is in place, and one of the conditions Alderman Burnett had, among others, was that he wanted to make sure that this project actually got built and moved quickly should it be passed.
Are there any contributions to the Neighborhood Opportunity Fund with this project?
Yes, there's about $2.7 million and the public park, so the acquisition of property and the conversion cost. Building a public park and the maintenance, which will do through a DEMA agreement with DPD.
So the Park District gets a free park with,
No, the park district doesn't get the park because it doesn't meet the minimum 2 acres, but this is just over 10,000 square feet. And it's a public park in Fulton Market where there really isn't one in that area east of Ogden, north of Lake. Kind of a desert for open space over there. So that was the other thing the alderman wanted, was he wanted open space available to the entire community, not just us.
how many jobs is this projected to create?
300 union construction jobs and another 15 full-time jobs.
Yeah, look, that's bold. It's a bold project. In an area where you're seeing a lot of demand. I think that I want to commend my colleague. Been on the job for 6 months. This is very bold. But I think that hearing from some of the constituents in the area that they're supportive of this. I think it's the right thing to do. So want to hear from DPD at some point around some of the concerns, but I think to everybody's point here, we need more housing. The fact that you're putting 70 affordable on site, just almost 3 million to the neighborhood opportunity fund, a park. There's a lot of good things that you guys did, and committing to the 26 and 6, all those other things. So I think it's good. So I'll wait to hear what DPD has to say. But
Any other questions or comments? Commissioner Pinheiro, followed by Commissioner Rodriguez.
So, thank you for the presentation. Couple of things that I first want to acknowledge. Number one, thank you for I think a lot of the questions that I had related to the public space have been answered. So, thank you for that. And thank you for acknowledging that there's a need in the area and really making an effort to make it happen. So fully appreciate it and acknowledge, but it's been said already. Secondly, I want to acknowledge a few of the comments that have been made here about the need for jobs, the need for housing, and development of the area and improvement of the area. So all of that is acknowledged and fully recognized. I'm really a little bit at a loss as it relates to how this is presented to us. In the years that I've been in the commission, it's the first time that a project comes to us without a resounding or a clear recommendation as it relates to the construction of the project. And I really want to make sure that I understand, in particular, one of the things I want to understand is I appreciate the concept of density and increasing density in the area, but really understanding what are the risks that were taken on if we're really, as was said earlier, in terms of breaking precedent here by this level of zoning and approving zoning like this in the area, so that we can make a judgment about whether this is something that we want to recommend going forward.
Is that a question for the development team or for zoning or DPD?
I am raising it as a concern that I have that I want.
And I think it's coming.
Yeah.
So you'll address that?
Yeah,
Or
I'm gonna address.
do you want to go, do you want to go next?
Yeah, my question is along those lines, so thank you, but also I wanted to know, the 160 million is only the construction cost? What is the estimated total development?
But including the park and the acquisition, maybe another 175 million in total.
175.
Any other questions or comments from commissioners?
Yeah, thank you. And I'm also curious to see the DPD, just some of the concerns. I'll wait for that. But in terms of the breakdown for the affordable, I'm glad some of the residents mentioned about the need for 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms. For the affordable component, I don't know, but so how many are 3 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms? Is there a breakup for the affordable set asides?
It's listed there on the right-hand side under total units count, so there's a total of 25 2 and 3 bedroom units.
Thank you. Just for that was just for clarification. And I do appreciate the alderman. I want to thank the alderman for working. I know it's, short period of time trying to achieve these or finish this project is important. I appreciate your seeking support. And I think this trade-off between affordability and density is a conversation that we must have. I understand the state has a proposal to have a blanket policy. My biggest concern is that when you lose is the opportunity to talk about these details. So I take the opportunity to caution us in blanket policies. I do think these conversations here are important to have the breakdown. I think the need for 2 and 3 bedrooms, especially affordable, is important. I'm glad that the alderman is pushing not only for local jobs, union jobs, but also the issue of affordability. I do think it's important. I hope that with the commission, we talk with the state about some concerns that we have as the chair of housing, because it takes away the affordability component. I think it'll be a mistake without having conversations with municipalities of the state. But I do think that it is, I used to represent the West Loop. I understand the quality of life of residents and also the need to have this conversation. And I look forward to hear from DPD about what concerns, but I do support the alderman in this part.
Thank you. Commissioner Turner is now in attendance. Any other questions or comments? Hand it over. Who's first? Doesn't matter.
I'm happy to go first. Well, first, Alderman Espada stole my whole flow. But I do want to commend both DPD and the development team for working on this. I know it's been a lot of back and forth, just to get to someplace where we feel where it works for the area. Especially developers, I twisted their arm about 12 different times, asking for new things at a time of pain, because it is such a drastic measure in terms of a zoning technical piece. When we talk about the project in general and what it means for this neighborhood, Fulton Market has been changing for the last 15 years. Let's not forget 15 years ago it was strictly industrial. And over time, it became more office, and there were plans at that point in time for it to be more of a mixed neighborhood. And that's taken a very long time to get to this point. And now that we're here, we're seeing more density, we're seeing more residents approved in this part of Fulton Market alone. It is where all of the residences are pretty much affected, that there's no green space whatsoever. So when we think about what planning means, it changes over time as things evolve. New developments start to be approved, as new projects get along. What we've been seeing with a lot of the projects that are approved, and this is no shade to the projects before, but even thinking about 345 North Aberdeen, beautiful property, what they presented here, past the Plan Commission, I think in 2025 or 2024, 44 stories, significantly higher than this one. 559 units, significantly more units. And the park space that they have, the green space that they have, is strictly for the residents of that property. That's fantastic for those residents. But when you think about the broader context of the neighborhood, what are we providing people in order to make this feel like a safe neighborhood where they feel excited about walking around? And so when I was the developer's arm about finding green space, I told them from jump, the number one thing the community has mentioned to us about what they need is green space. You've been hearing it for years and years and years. The number two thing that we've noted from a lot of the individuals in our community is that the young folks who are living there now don't see an opportunity to grow there. And there's been a piece that even in the last time I was in Planning Commission, I think in November or October, I stated that we're excited about the projects that are coming, but we want to keep pushing for more 2 and 3 bedroom units in Fulton Market. On average, the average development in Fulton Market has about 19% of the units are family style units. So every development has about 19 to 20% of units in Fulton Market being 2 or 3 bedrooms. The vast majorities are studios ones, and really studios. So we're encouraging a younger demographic to move there and get excited about living there, but not giving them the opportunities to really grow. And so I think that's really important for the broader conversation of what this project provides. And we have to be honest, I think Alderman Villegas mentioned it. I was just down at the governor's address yesterday, and they mentioned the importance of building housing. This is an opportunity for us to do so. Like the developers have noted, I said that this is only approved in my mind, or something that I can support if we move quickly on this project. We need the jobs and we need the housing. And so as more residents move into the neighborhood, we have to consider what does it mean to be a full neighborhood. And that means providing space for everyone, whether that's plazas, parks, streetscapes, neighborhood where people can sit and watch birds and they're not running into buildings. This is the first project I've seen when the bird friendly group has actually been super excited. So that's a huge accomplishment. As Alderman LaSpada noted, going above and beyond on the scoring for eco-friendly sustainability is huge. It makes a big difference. It sets a precedent on what we're trying to do in this neighborhood and in the city alone. And so with that being said, I am in support of this project. I think design-wise and the context-wise, the building as a building alone really fits into what Fulton Market is and where it's become or where it's going. We need this housing. And so with that being said, I would ask the commissioners to support this project by voting no. I think that's
Yes.
how this moves forward, but I appreciate all of the public comments. We hear you on what is to come with this in this neighborhood. Just because this one project that is a small site is changing the standard doesn't mean that community output or input isn't reflected. I know Richard said that aldermen have final say, but that's just not how 27 works. It's never worked that way. We work with our community partners. It's our job as aldermen to figure out what are the essential components of how we build and continue to reflect the community's needs. So I thank you all for giving me time to speak.
Thank you, Alderman. Go ahead, Commissioner.
All right, so I wanna commend my amazing staff and zoning for their thoughtful review of this proposal and everyone that's provided public comment, both today and all the emails that I've received over the last week and a half to 2 weeks. This project really reflects an incredible market interest that has fueled the Fulton Market Innovation District Plan was adopted and then later updated in response to the evolving market. For nearly 5 years since the 2021 update, and Fulton Market continues to evolve, represented by today's Act 16 that's under consideration. I want to remind everyone, the recommendation that was brought forth is a recommendation by the zoning administrator. I am not the zoning administrator, the planning commission. As planning commissioner, I am hyper aware of the city's need for more mixed income housing, more development, and for more robust investment across our city. I'm also aware of the slippery slope created by would-be developers who sell the development rights for a given site, often at elevated values for entitlement projects that they don't always intend to build on their own. Working with Alderman Burnett and our developer, we've created a clause that precludes the ownership structure from changing before permit. If ownership structure changes, the zoning administrator can sunset the PD and the site will go back to the original EX5 zone. This helps ensure the proposed developer and the development are one and the same. And it's not purely speculative proposition that's designed to be sold. Actual development that will be built. This clause will be incorporated into their PD statement, encouraging the developer to actually build what we're proposing, while disincentivizing entitlement efforts that are primarily intended to be sold. So ultimately, we're ensuring a more timely and more robust opportunity to bring 347 much needed units online. That's a bit of a juxtaposition between our zoning administrator's recommendation and the department's recommendation for that matter, and my position as planning commissioner. I thought it was important to kind of detail that for everyone today, because it's a little different from what we've seen before. But I think it's also important to acknowledge that the scale of development and proposals that we've seen have increased in Fulton Market. And we want to be supportive, we want to be flexible, we want to be responsive, and we want to be collaborative. And we want to do the right thing to really address the need for housing. That's not specific to just Fulton Market, but the need for housing across our city.
Thank you. I hope that really helped everybody understand what we're asking for. So any other follow-up questions or comments? Commissioner Lyons?
Just to clarify, that was incredibly helpful. Thank you, and thank you for the presentation, thoughtful presentation. I just wanted to clarify that I make sure I'm reading it right, that the open space with the offsite is actually 6,000 square feet more than the requirement. Is that correct?
5882.
Okay.
It is the surplus. Ground area.
somewhere right in.
So more open space, got it.
I read this one.
Thank you. And is the timeline for the park itself, is that a similar timeline to the construction of the building?
We'll have to have an agreement in place, one with the alderman, but also with DPD as part of moving forward for permits.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments from commissioners?
Yeah.
Commissioner
You know,
Benito?
I think, appreciate it, Commissioner Boatright, really, important to hear your perspective on this. I'd also like to hear the other side of this perspective from the zoning administrator, if possible.
Sure. Patrick Murphy, zoning administrator, Department of DPD. So there are a number of factors that go into review of all the zoning map amendments that come before both the planning commission and ultimately city council. Comment was made before that only gets involved in issues that come before the planning commission. That would not be more incorrect. Every month, there are about 40 some odd map amendments that go to city council. We provide recommendations on all of them, whether they're up zonings or down zonings that someone does or doesn't support. Those are all publicly available. They are all equally as done pursuant to the zoning code as the recommendations that were done here. Planning commission is a bit more spotlighted from the work that our department does, from the zoning staff, and in this case, Lewis, in regards to reviewing the zoning specific criteria to the rules that we're given from city council. We have certain criteria that we have to answer to for all map amendments that come in. And when a proposal does not meet whatever the black and white subjective requirements are, we have to recommend accordingly. We object, oh yeah, sorry. The reviews that took place here at this point in time were not in compliance with the stipulations that Lewis laid out before. That's the reason for our recommendation. That does not mean that we're oblivious to the need for new development or additional housing. There have been thousands of units and dozens of projects that have come here before the planning commission just since the start of this administration that have been supported by our department, supported by our staff, been done pursuant to the applicable requirements of the zoning code, and we have been very eager to see them move ahead. The reason they're not moving ahead has nothing to do with the zoning or the rules that exist. About some of the specific things that were mentioned in regards to this project, the open space that's being provided is virtually entirely required of this project because of the lack of what they're providing on site. It's great that they're providing open space. We've been trying to work for years to get additional parcels in the Fulton Market area and the greater West Loop for open space. There's only 5,500 square feet, which is less than 2 standard city lots of open space being provided in addition to what's otherwise required. And when there were comments earlier about the scale of the project and the quantity of units, were the site to be expanded or were the volume of units to be reduced, then either the open space obligation could have been lessened or the requirements could have been met on site, and not requiring them to purchase additional property to satisfy what couldn't be done on site. Furthermore, there was commentary about family units. We are all for family units. 20 years ago, when my wife and I got married, we lived in an area of the city just south of this, and we looked and looked and looked for multi-bedroom condos or townhomes. We had a 1-bedroom, wasn't really anything available, and so we moved. But this project's only providing 4 to 5 3-bedroom units. So family units are definitely a priority that we want to see. Had there been more family units provided, that would have been a positive impact on the density, so it would have been less overall units, and they wouldn't have had the MLA problem that Lewis was spotlighting in regards to other projects. In regards to the NOF that was brought up, we have many projects that have been proposed and approved by this body and approved by Committee on Zoning. They haven't paid for their permits yet, but there's a lot of NOF revenue that is expected or anticipated to come in at the time of those permits. If this trend now continues to establish zoning districts that forego the need for bonus payments, that will dry up or eliminate that pool of resources that this administration or any future administrations can use in south and west sides of the city. That was the whole intent of the creation of this downtown bonus expansion nearly 10 years ago. And finally, I guess I want to say more to your comment about you've seen so many projects that come here that the department supports and that we look for your support from the committee or from the planning commission. We work very hard with the applicants, local aldermanic offices, community groups, the whole team of the applicants to come to a project that we can support, that the community can support, that Alderman can get behind, that their colleagues can support, that provides a real benefit for the city, both in terms of units, construction jobs, development of underutilized land. But all of those instances, as you noted, they come here with our support because we work together. We were not able to get to that point from a zoning standpoint alone in this project. That's unfortunate. It's not unprecedented, but it's been a long time since that's happened. But the reason for that is we have rules, like I was saying earlier, laid out, and we apply those equally to everyone that comes in. The calculations that exist, the requirements that they entail. In this case, because that's not being followed in this instance, is why we're not recommending from a zoning standpoint, this project to be approved.
May I? Thank you, Commissioner Murphy, and thank you for the comprehensive response. I really appreciate it sheds light on the issue. Let me, so that we can understand better. So you're talking about the objective measures that really are the guidelines that you use for determining whether to meet the objective. So, of course, there's other merits to the project that we talked about before. What's the actual risk that we're running into if we, like we said earlier, somebody said earlier, we're breaking a precedent here and we approve the project like this? What does that entail? What are we talking about?
Well, you could approach it from a couple of different angles. On the most basic, if a -16, when there are not zoning districts, base zoning districts that are comparable to that in the area, like the map highlighted, then you significantly incentivize the desire to forego the interim zoning districts, 7s, 10s, 12s, 5s and 7s, how we started. The reason 5, I'm sorry, we started in this area. And the result would be, like I was mentioning earlier, the loss or significant gutting of what's available from an NOF bonus standpoint, which again was the underpinning of why the downtown, how to justify the expansion of downtown. Yes, this project is paying a bonus, is providing a bonus payment. That may not necessarily be the case for things in the future. I don't know what the future will bring, but that is certainly a risk that exists. Secondarily, you have projects that were already approved but haven't been for permit that to this point have essentially maxed out at 11.5 of FAR, which is generally their maximum bonus under the current districts that we have in this area. There would be nothing, maybe, stopping someone from seeking to rezone their property to a high enough district, let's say a -12, that allows them to still do the exact same project that everyone supported before, albeit without requiring to make any. And then when you get back to just the objective criteria, like I was saying before, one of the questions that we're supposed to answer with every map amendment, again, whether it's a PD or something in the neighborhoods far, far away from downtown, is how it fits in not only contextually from a building scale standpoint, but also from a zoning district. And that would be a very difficult question to answer affirmatively today. If there are more -16s that come along, that may look different, but I couldn't predict how that may impact other folks that pursue development in this neighborhood.
I think it's case by case. We can't speculate on what's to come. We can't speculate on if all other requests will be -16s or not. I think it's important to understand the projects that we review at Plan Commission is the project specifically, not the projects that are coming next year, the following year, but the project. I think the zoning context, as Patrick mentioned, in terms of how the zoning administrator views it, is objective, and it's objective for a very specific reason. Does the project, is it in line with other surrounding zones? And so I think he articulated that very well. As commissioner, I'm gonna articulate the need to balance all, right? The components from a zoning standpoint, but also the need for us to really think about intense development that makes sense for our city, the production of housing, real investment that will really change, the landscape right now. And I don't mean the architectural landscape, I mean the landscape from a housing standpoint, production standpoint. And so it's really important for us to balance all those things.
I was just gonna finish the thought around, I think to me, that's important, because I think it's important for us to understand that we don't want to tie our hands to the future. This is very specific to the PD, specific to the project, and any decision that will be made here.
I agree with that, but I also think that things change and we need to adjust and we need to look for a balance. I respect all the zoning rules and I think, yes, we have to follow it. But also there are rules that can be changed, right? If we are living a different reality, we need to be able to do that, otherwise, I think that it's not gonna work, things are gonna get worse, so I appreciate the different perspective. And, but I do believe that things have changed currently, this is the reality that we're in, this is what we need. And it seems that from that perspective, this project is responding to those realities, so. I appreciate the discussion.
Thank
Madam
you,
Chair.
Commissioner. Yeah.
So
Commissioner Hughes.
the zoning Commissioner Murphy had mentioned around some of the concerns around whether this will happen around the project. I think from a legislative standpoint, I think there's things that we can codify from legislation. And I think that you have.
Can you speak? Yeah, can you speak?
I'm
louder,
sorry.
decision?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I said from a legislative standpoint, there's an opportunity to codify things that the zoning administrator has seen that this potential model creates. And so the fact that you have multiple council members on this commission as well, I think we would be interested in seeing what plan commission or the zoning administrator wants to put forward to have the dialogue and have the discussion around codifying things that ultimately increase opportunities for building, increase opportunities for bonus, neighborhood opportunity fund, et cetera. And if this is a model that we can build on, I think it's worthy of a discussion from a legislative standpoint. So look forward to seeing if the DPD, yeah, perfect. So we're happy to look at that. Thank you.
Commissioner Murphy.
Yeah, I just want to make one other comment about the change in the neighborhood. Like I said at the beginning, when this was converted to downtown zoning, all the projects were held to a 3 and a 5 FAR from a base standpoint, the bonusability and purchasing development rights from adjacent properties, all of those rules still existed. As the neighborhood evolved, as development grew, as interest grew, that moved to -7s. We've even discussed -10s, which we'll discuss one later on today. So there has absolutely been a horizon that we have watched grow from a zoning and a planning standpoint. None of the rules that existed, which established this area and have been revisited, ever put a cap or any type of limitation on the scale of development. The entirety of the crux of this position is the scale or the jump that's being made. It's not ignoring the fact of growth. That's absolutely happened. We've been thankful for a city for it. Without this, I wouldn't want to think about where we might have been. But there has been never an effort to stymie development or not be aware of what's going on currently. But we are trying to do that in a balance with the rules that were given in order to make sure that it's done the same for this group as everyone else that comes before this body.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Any other questions or comments from commissioners? Commissioner Lyons?
I also just wanted to note too, the proximity to the Morgan Street stop, I think is particularly compelling. Allowing, one for more affordable housing, more, jobs creations, union job creation, but also accessibility to jobs downtown, I think is particularly, compelling and wanted to look at.
Commissioner Sicho Lopez?
You know, I'm following with that, I think that, and as our Commissioner Villegas mentioned, the need for legislation and make sure that the state and city work together on this. I think that to me it's premature to start looking at blanket policies so that we can start building because it's supply and demand. This is a clear example. There's an inadequate model, right? It gets sound bites, and I understand the difficulties of building and the red tape, and we all can work on that. But there are communities like us in our ward. We have a quality of life plan. We have a huge shortage of affordable housing. We have to do anti-deconversions, preservation ordinances, and even then, we still have difficulties. So for us to have these conversations, allow to communities like us to have some leverage on balancing affordability and density. I think that conversation needs to be done in collaboration with state and city without impositions. And I think this is a good example of how these particular discussions help us with green space and other important things that are important for the quality of life of each particular neighborhood. I think, and I will ask that we work. I know that we're gonna go to Springfield next month, and I will certainly push back on any kind of blanket policy that disrupt these conversations that need to be addressed legislatively. And I look forward to having those conversations with the commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from commissioners? If not, I will go ahead and ask for a motion, which is a confusing motion, and that's why you have the same in front of you, so you can follow along. But I'll be very clear on this. Do I have a motion on a proposed residential business plan development submitted by 213 Property LLC for the property generally located at 215 North Racine Avenue, finding that it does not meet the requirements for support? A motion here and affirmative vote will send the recommendation from the zoning administrator against the proposal to the Committee on Zoning, Landmarks and Building Standards. A no vote against such motion would overwrite the recommendation of the zoning administrator and instead send a supportive recommendation to the Committee on Zoning, Landmarks and Building Standards. So do I have either motion?
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Murphy. Do I have a second? Thank you, Commissioner Brumfield. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and ask for votes on this. Commissioner Boatright? No. Commissioner Brumfield?
Yes.
Yes. Commissioner Flores? No. Commissioner La Spada?
No.
No. Commissioner Lyons?
No.
Commissioner Murphy?
Yes.
Yes. Commissioner Piñeiro?
No.
You, Commissioner Ramirez Rosa?
No.
Thank you. Commissioner Reyes?
No.
Thank you. Commissioner Sicho Lopez?
No.
Thank you. Commissioner Esposado?
No.
Thank you. Commissioner Turner?
No.
Thank you. And Commissioner Villegas?
No.
So this does not pass.
The motion carried.
passed.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go. So I failed. So
Whatever.
now we're gonna go back.
Technicality. Do I need to read this? Okay,
Just to say for the record.
if the votes are in majority as a no, then that will override the negative recommendation and a positive recommendation will be sent to the Committee on Zoning. That's what we have today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You mean?
Right, 5 minute break.
Hey, is it Phil?
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, good luck. Sure thing, sure thing. Yeah, good luck with everything.
Oh, you want to do that?
I reminded Yeah. Me neither. And then it's me,
You know, something different.
I guess. I don't know how it works. Think of this.
I mean, I know the ranch is expanding, but I
Okay. The last item today is listed as D4, a proposed residential business plan development submitted by 1338 Westlake owner LLC for the property currently located at 1338 Westlake Street. The applicant proposes to rezone the site from the M2-3 light industry district to the BX10 downtown mixed use district, and then to a residential business plan development to allow the construction of a 32-story building with 321 residential dwelling units, 7,200 square feet of commercial space, and 164 parking spaces, together with accessory and incidental uses. A 3.8 FAR bonus will be taken, and the overall FAR of the plan development will be 13.8. This is item 21123. It's in the 27th ward. Yang Wang will provide a context overview and present a proposed plan.
Thank you, Chairman. Good afternoon. For the record, my name is Yang Wang with the Department of Planning and Development. This proposed development is generally located at 1338 West Lake Street and is located within the near west side community area within the 27th ward. Applicant 1338 West Lake owner LLC and their development team appear here today to propose a residential business plan development for the subject site. The applicant proposed to rezone the site from the M2-3 light industry district to the DF-10 downtown mixed use district, and then to a residential business plan development to allow the construction of a 32-story building with 321 residential dwelling units, 7,200 square feet of commercial space, and 164 parking spaces, together with accessory and incidental uses. A 3.8 FAR bonus will be taken, and the overall FAR of the planned development will be 13.8. The proposed development is located in the near west side community area. Historically, the near west side has been a sparsely populated industrial area. Recently, more warehouses and industrial spaces in this neighborhood have been left vacant, providing opportunities for post-industrial development. Now a destination for many new companies and the residents moving in. This slide illustrates the site contact plan. The site is well connected to public transit and is within walking distance of the Morgan and Ashland stations, providing access to the green and pink lines. The site is located within the Fulton Market Innovation District and is currently zoned M2-3 light industry district. It's surrounded by a mix of commercial, residential, and light industrial uses. The planning context includes the West Loop Design Guidelines. The West Loop Design Guidelines were adopted in 2017 to guide development and establish standards that preserve the neighborhood's character, high-quality design, and dynamic nature. The planning context also includes the Fulton Market Innovation District Plan. The Fulton Market Innovation District Plan was adopted in 2014 and updated in 2021 to promote mixed use and mixed income growth, support both new and existing businesses, accommodate new development, and protect the area's fundamental historical and cultural assets. Now I will turn the presentation over to the applicant team to introduce the proposal.
Good afternoon. For the record, my name is Katie Jean Keedale from the law firm of PLA Piper. We represent the applicant for this matter, which is an affiliate of Cedar Street Companies. I'm joined today by Griffin Epping from Cedar Street, as well as our project architects from SBB and our traffic engineer from KLOA. We've been as you can see on the slide, we've been working on this project for quite some time, dating back to May of 2022, meeting with the various community groups along the way, as well as the previous committee on design. And that brought us here today, and we're hoping to start construction later this year. Now, through that long process, we made a number of changes at the request of DPD, the alderman, and the community. And now going to turn it over to Devin Patterson, who's going to go through the project design and those changes. Devin.
Thank you very much. My name is Devin Patterson from SCB. I'm the principal. I'm working with the developer on this exciting project. As Katie said, we've been working on this for quite a few years now. Some of the things we've done is community outreach. The slide here illustrates really some of the things that have happened with the input from the community. We've interviewed additional liner units on the ground floor, as opposed to just exposing the garage on the right-hand side there. Left-hand side. We think this building fits into the context of the approved projects that are in the neighborhood here. Our building is the red building in the lower left-hand side there. And we've worked with the DPD to really develop a building that fits into the neighborhood with some very deliberate massing moves, which are establishing a mass podium and a setting back on the alley to provide more vehicular traffic through there, and reducing a residential bustle at the base where those liner units are, and really creating a tall, slender building that improves the light, air, and view from the building. This illustration on the screen here really shows the human scale that we've applied to the street level of the building. We've created activated storefronts, canopies, landscaping that creates a welcoming and pedestrian environment. As you look to the tower itself, we show these two different perspectives, one looking east and one looking west, really showing how the slenderness really reduces the bulk of the building, really stepping it back from the Lake Street L track as well. As we look at the ground floor, we made some significant adjustments to the ground floor. We provided all the parking and loading access off the alley. We've actually gone 9 feet back to the alley to expand that and make it easier to get in and out of. We provided divvy bikes along Lake Street. We're also providing retail entrances and potentially multiple retail entrances off of Lake and off of Edith Street there. And then we provided abundant green space that meets these landscape ordinance. These are the floor plans of the building. This is the typical parking level there, where we've included the residential units along the parking there, so you're not seeing the parking itself as you come up the street. And then you go up to the building, there's actually 2 levels of amenity space, one above the podium and one at the top of the building. This was really to create opportunities for family-friendly spaces in the building. There's a kid zone on this floor, just above the amenity with abandoned outdoor space. We've also provided some larger units in this building. We have about 38% of our building is 2 bedrooms and 3 bedrooms. So we're providing larger 2+ dens and 3 bedrooms so that we can encourage families to live in the neighborhood. And as we talked about, some other people have talked about, grow in the neighborhood, which we think is a huge benefit. We've also indicated the roof plan here to show sort of the top level of the building and the upper level amenity space that allow use to downtown. We've also worked very closely to create a sustainable building, but also a bird-friendly building. We've reduced the amount of glass on the tower itself by doing a pattern of both glass and metal panel. We've also looked at providing bird-safe glass, both at the ground floor, the podium, and at the guardrails at the top of the amenity space. Just the 3 to 4 elevations of the building. The tower section illustrating both the liner units on Edith Street, as well as the north-south section showing the setback from the L track and building tower setback. We've also provided a setback on the north side to create a little bit more space between our building and the building to the north of us. As you look at the details and the facade of the building, this is the base of the building. We wanted to work with sort of the industrial aesthetic of the West Loop neighborhood. And we wanted to create this sort of detailed pattern to the facade. So we've got this kind of metal pattern on the outside that also has this kind of random pattern that goes up into the tower. As you look at that podium, where we go transition from the podium of the building to the tower where it's set back, that's where those amenity spaces are happening. We're providing bird-safe glass at that amenity space where there's transparency and creating that sort of transition detail to the top of that. And at the very top of the building, we're also providing that bird-safe treatment at the perimeter glass around the amenity space that will be at the very top of the building. As we move into the sort of the floor plans, just sort of the technical details, we've worked with CDOT. We actually just got a note that we just got approval from CDOT just a few minutes ago, so that's great. We provided all the things that they've asked for, highlighted on this plan. We're not adding any significant traffic to the neighborhood. Here to answer that if there's any questions. And we're really creating something that's a really urban friendly environment here. And these are sort of the different urban design elements that we've done to encourage this building to be an urban neighborhood. We also comply with all the open space requirements for the site, on site, not off site. We worked to create a very abundant green space, worked with the city's Department of Landscape to provide exactly what is required, the ground floor both on Ada and some along Lake Street there. And then we've worked with the city on trying to develop, a palette we think that is in harmony with what's going on in the rest of the neighborhood. Our building is on the right-hand side there. Other buildings are to the left that have been improved and built in the neighborhood. And we think our materiality is really consistent with the materiality that you find in that neighborhood. We've also worked very closely to attain sustainable policy here. We're looking to get to 100 points of the Chicago Sustainable Development Policy. All the items that we're using to get there are outlined here. In addition, we just added the Divvy Bike station today. So that didn't make today's slide, but you can be sure that it'll be there when we build the building. And then this is really just illustrates the areas of the building that we're providing that bird safe glass. The podium has sort of a variety of both glass and metal panels, so we're feeling comfortable with that. But then the base where the transition or where the retail is and where the amenity spaces are, we'll also provide that big bird safe as well. We've worked with the city to also provide stormwater management tanks underground. And we're also providing 65 affordable units out of the 321 units in the building. You can see the percentages of them on screen here. We're also meeting all the affordable requirements ordinance as well. You want to talk something economics though?
Again, for the record, Katie Jenke Deal from DLA Piper. This project has significant economic and community benefits shown on this slide. It's about $155 million project cost. Will create between 500 and 750 temporary construction jobs. Cedar Street has a long track record in the city, working with MB and WBs and local hires. It's not on the slide, we forgot it, but we also will be generating just shy of $2.5 million for the neighborhood opportunity bonus. With that, we'll turn it back over to DPD.
For the record again, my name is Yang Yiwang with the Department of Planning and Development. DPD has reviewed the project materials submitted by the applicant, and DPD has concluded that this proposal is appropriate for this site and supports this development for the following reasons. The proposal complies with the planned development standards and guidelines. The proposed development is consistent with plans adopted by the Plan Commission or approved by the City Council, including the Vital Route Design Guidelines and Photo Market Innovation District Plan. The proposed development is compatible with the character of the surrounding area in terms of uses, density, and building scale. The proposed development promotes economically beneficial development patterns that are compatible with the character of the existing neighborhood. The proposed development reinforces desirable urban features found within the surrounding area. Public infrastructure facilities and city services will be adequate to serve the proposed development at the time of occupancy. Please refer to my staff reports for further details regarding this project and the plans identified here today. Based on the foregoing, it's a recommendation of the zoning administrator of DPD that this application be approved and forwarded to the City Council Committee on Zoning, Landmarks, and Building Standards as such. DPD staff and the representatives from the applicant team are here to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Nandi. We do have 4 speakers signed up to speak on this item. We'll start off with Mr. Butler Adams, who's for the proposal, followed by Dr. Chloe Broom, who's for the proposal. Then we have Paul Jacobs, who's for the proposal. And lastly, we have Christine Esposito, who's also for the proposal. Thank you.
Yes, so for the record, my name is Butler Adams. I am in favor of this proposal. I just want to read this real quick. If 1 floor of parking was removed, that would reduce the total overall parking ratio. Another idea is to line the parking with slightly projecting double-stack 2-story shallow duplexes. I said 1338 Westlake needs a reduction in number of parking spaces, and the base needs to be reimagined and improved. And I submitted this letter to the Committee on Design back in January of 2023. And yay, somebody was listening to me, because that's exactly what I got right here. I'm looking at this design and rendering right now, and I think it's a very, very nice building. In terms of your parking podium, I'm so pleased that you have have added these liner units to the 8th Street side of the building. I do hope that you can bring that same facade around to Lake Street. Even though you have parking on Lake Street, you have like the tower, then you have the base, then you have the parking, then you have the blank walls. You have like all these different facades of the buildings. It would be nice to have a little bit of visual cohesion with the base along Ada and Lake Street. I'm glad that you have placed your swimming pool atop the building. I will say that of all the residential buildings that have been approved lately, most of these swimming pools are outside and exposed. And for me, it seems like a good idea to advertise your properties to have 365 days that you can use the pool in our building by having it enclosed. I did send a quick letter regarding this project. I did send I write this letter in support of 1338 West Lake Street. Several improvements have been made regarding the design of this project since it was reviewed by the now disbanded Committee on Design. One of those improvements include, again, adding liner units along 8th Street. The number of parking has been reduced from 201 to 164, and the overall residential density has increased by about 50 units. The architecture of the proposal isn't bad at all. And I mentioned what I said about the base already. I highly encourage the developer to, like I said, include enclosing the pool deck. I want to see as much density along the green line to have 24/7 service and 8-car trains. I want density along the green line. And I think this project and the project that we saw previously at 215 Racine is a start. I will say to the developers that I think you could still work more on the parking. I know this is a bit further from Morgan Street, but this building has still has less units than 215 Racine, the more parking spaces, so that could be looked at, but otherwise, I think it's a very nice project. I look forward to getting built. I am wondering, I know this is not answering the question, how much tax revenue this project will generate annually? I know the building that's on the site right now has been demolished, so it's kind of a vacant lot. So I'm curious about that. Otherwise, it's very nice. I look forward to it. Thanks.
Mr. Adams, more than one person is listening to you. Be sure of that. We're all listening to you.
Oh.
Okay, Dr. Chloe Groom.
Good afternoon. I'll just, for the record, my name is Dr. Chloe Groom. I volunteer with Abundant Housing Illinois, and I serve on the board of Strong Towns Chicago. As I mentioned earlier, I still live in West Loop with my husband, and I strongly support the project at 1338 West Lake Street for much of the same reasons as 215 North Racine, so I won't belabor that. I did actually attend the virtual meeting for this project earlier this week, so I was pleasantly surprised to see it on the agenda here as well. As I commented then, I really appreciate that this project is going to include improvements to the streetscape, including native trees, I believe, and a pedestrian bump out. That's really important to me as someone that walks to Small Cheval fairly often. So they're making the street both safer and more pleasant. Like Butler mentioned, I do wish that there was less parking here. 215 North Racine is about 2 blocks from this project, and they have a parking ratio of about 0.25, while I think this project is a little above 0.5. But even so, overall, I implore the commission to approve this project as well. And yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. Paul Jacobs.
Okay.
Okay.
My name is Paul Jacobs, and I'm here to speak in support of the development at 1338 West Lake Street. This is a neighborhood that has transformed from a low-density commercial meatpacking district to a premier residential area in our city. This is a building rising only 32 stories and will fit well with the other buildings topping out at 43 and 45 and many more in the 20s and 30s. Chicago at large and our transit-dense neighborhoods specifically are at a deep structural deficit of housing,
We're seeing rent increases that are much higher than wage growth, including 6% citywide last year. Surely these rent increases were much higher in the West Loop, an area that is extremely desirable to live in. All these rent increases are a direct result of the lack of new housing, and this project will deliver 364 units in one of the most expensive and desirable neighborhoods. And I hope that you guys approve it.
Thank you. Ms. Christina Esposito.
Hello again. I am Christina Esposito and I represent Bird Friendly Chicago. We want to thank the team for your efforts in making our city safer for migrating birds. I have to say, this project makes our hearts go pity pat. Oh no, it makes our hearts go a flutter. Running that the plan for 1338 West Lake Street development will implement bird-proof design in its construction gives our organization confidence that our city is moving in the right direction. Birds that live and migrate through Chicago are a vital part of our environment. They enrich our parks and neighborhoods and are essential to a healthy ecosystem. As we've mentioned earlier, Chicago is one of the most critical urban areas for bird migration in North America. And taking steps like these to reduce bird mortality here is an important and tangible way we can help reverse the catastrophic loss in migratory bird populations that the U.S. has suffered over the past half century. Again, please accept our sincere gratitude. Thank you.
Thank you. So with that, I'll open it up to the commissioners. Are there any questions or comments? Commissioner Villegas?
I'm gonna just comment on the building as a request from DPD. What a beautiful building. Beautiful, handsome, whatever, however you want to describe it. Very, very nice building. Looking forward to it coming online. The question was posed around property tax. Is there any estimate as to what the property tax value it would generate? Property tax would be approximately, we'll hold you to it, it's approximately.
Give us just a minute.
Oh.
He's gonna do some quick math.
Yeah, do we move on to the next question? Now we'll come back.
I'll get it in a second.
Oh, you have it? Or, okay. Commissioner Reyes?
I love the building. I love the 65 affordable units. I just wonder why there's no 3-bedroom unit provided or affordable. There's only one and it's at 80% in demand. I'd like to see it 60% in demand, not at 80%.
Noted, we can work with or talk to DOH about that. We had worked on the unit mix with them, but we can talk to them about that.
And for DOH is gonna get back to us.
Sure, we'd be happy to work with them.
Thank you.
Update on the number? Not yet.
Not quite.
Not quite, okay. Next question. Yeah. Question or comments from anybody else?
I do.
Yeah.
So, we've said it before many times in the past, and then we've also, even today became a focal point, but if we can zero in on the public space surrounding the building itself, can you give us, this is an important area that really lacks, open areas for the public. So, it's been for years now, focus of this commission to try to make sure that we incentivize a lot of these projects to account for, a reasonable amount of public area and greenery. So can you zero in on it and tell us a little bit about it, give some context, maybe dimensions, so that we can understand better how much is done here and whether more could be done?
Start with green space. You're talking about the ground floor space, public space.
The public space.
So as this project evolved, there was actually some more public space that was available on the ground floor. When we added the additional liner units, because of the width of the parking, that was reduced. But I think we're providing 3 feet of space in addition to the property line around the ground floor. We're providing abundant green landscaping both trees and native landscaping on the ground floor along Ada. We're also providing, planting along Lake Street, which is kind of unusual, as well. So there'll be, outdoor space there. And then we've also provided additional space in the alley. We've moved the building back 9 feet. I know that's not sort of on the public facing side, but there's people using the alley. There's a lot of traffic in the alley. I think that'll help to improve it as well. So there's been significant give backs as far as property developers providing to the city to provide open space, but not traditional green space.
Okay, I see, in one of the renderings, actually, one of the early renderings of the presentation, maybe page 12, I see some sitting area, right, and I don't know which, maybe that's not the Lake Street, that's the Ada Street, it's.
That's along Ada Street there. Yeah, in a previous proposal before we met with the community, and they asked, and the previous design committee, they did ask to provide residential units along the street here. And to provide those, we wanted that to go from alley to Lake Street there. In the previous iteration, that was a garage facade that you saw before. And so we did actually carve out the corner to provide some open space in that version of the plan. We thought it was going to be better to provide the residential units with activity and pedestrian level highs on the street as opposed to open space.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have the number now.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
The big number.
No, you're correct that currently the site is more or less vacant and once it's built, we expect it to be just over $1.9 million in taxes generated.
And then that was my question and my comment to DPD as well. The 26th and 6th that is in place by executive order. At some point in this first quarter or second quarter, can we see kind of like last year's numbers as to what was projected versus what was attained?
Yeah, it will be based off completed projects.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can provide that information.
Any other questions or comments from commissioners?
And sorry, just for clarification, for our PDs that aren't getting in contact, as a reminder, it's all wire.
No, right.
We can show
Just in,
Right, and that's, and I'm glad you stated that, because I know that it is a goal. And we want to be able to, well, I want to be able to support developers that are really taking into consideration what it is that we're trying to achieve. Because if it's on paper, it means something to us. But if they're just going to do the bare minimum, not even the bare minimum of 26 and 6, then that's gonna a little doubt in my mind as to how committed they are to the city. So I understand it's a goal. But I think that those developers that are reading it, I want to be very supportive and stating that their understanding is supporting Chicago's mission. Those that are not, work a little harder.
We can get it for you.
thank you. If there are no more questions, I'll open it up to Alderman Burnett.
Yeah, again, another project that I've been so fortunate to work with Katie on, to come to planning commission, and the Cedar Street team who's come to our office months ago asking about how do we move forward with this project. And similarly to the spill I've been giving today and earlier, within my young tenure, we need more family size housing. And so we're pushing for this neighborhood to be around 40%, if not more, in the 2 and 3 bedrooms. And I know they don't have a ton of 3 bedrooms, but from their original proposal, what they sent across, which is primarily 1s, they shifted around their platform to be more 2 bedrooms, which is extremely important for the conversation that we're having around a full neighborhood and allowing individuals to grow within this community. So I really respect and thank the developer for changing up that proposed unit mix. This property, as mentioned around other properties, does provide significant outdoor space, particularly for the residents of that building, which alleviates some of the pressure. But again, as noted, we would still love for as much open space as possible in the area, and that's something we're looking forward to. And however we can work together along with Department of Transportation to make sure that that space over there is a little bit more utilized, that would be great. And what's really exciting is some of the constituents who spoke before has mentioned the density around Lake Street. as we continue to think about what a transit oriented neighborhood looks like, utilizing more residences around a train line that existing helps our entire infrastructure. You know, the green line is the artery of the 27th ward, but it is a big artery for the rest of the city too. And we have to continue to help have people be close by. And I know some of them they're a little further away from Oregon, but they're really close to Ashland. And so that's the benefit of having so much residents around the Lake Street corridor. So I know this is also not always building around the train is the most ideal site to deal with, both in terms of some of the constraints, but also with the narrow block needs for these type of buildings. So again, I appreciate them for this development, and I ask the commissioners for this as well.
Thank you, Alderman. Any follow-up questions or comments from commissioners? No? No? If not, I'll go ahead and ask for a motion on this item. Do I have a motion on a proposed residential business plan development submitted by 1338 Westlake Owner LLC for the property going to be located at 1338 Westlake Street, finding that it meets the requirements for approval? Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Lyons, second by Commissioner Reyes. Roll call vote. Commissioner Boatright? Yes. Thank you. Commissioner Brumfield?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Flores? Yes. Commissioner La Spada? He's left. Commissioner Lyons? Yes. Thank you. Commissioner Murphy?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Piñeiro?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Reyes? Yes. Thank you. Commissioner Sposado? That too, okay. Commissioner Turner?
Yes.
Thank you. And Commissioner Villegas?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, this concludes this month's meeting of the Chicago Benign Commission. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Thank you, Commissioner Turner. Second. Roll call vote. We're not gonna need to. I'll vote. Yes. Brumfield? Thank you. Yes. Lyons? Yes. Thank you, Murphy?
Yes.
Thank you, Piñeiro?
Yes.
Thank you, Reyes?
Yeah,
Thank you. Turner?
Yes.
Thank you, Villegas?
Yes.
Thank you. This month's meeting of the Chicago Plan Commission is now adjourned at 1:50.
Yeah.
Side.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I know.
I thought you were.